Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Look, it's us. After a little bit of a week break. We had a break last week, but we're back with another big chat. I think I have a number. My fault. It's totally my fault.
Yeah.
This guy right here. I've got a number of things, so I'm sure it'll be a good chat. Hopefully, if anybody is around, make sure everything is working here. Windows closed. Yeah. So, if anybody's around, feel free to chat. Tell us what you've been reading, what's been going on. Hello. How are you?
Okay. Good. A bit of delay in there, so sorry for later reply. But anyway, I'm good. I had 2 weeks of reading to do, although honestly,
Nice.
the first week I was very lazy, so and then
really?
reading wise, but then second week I got really crazy, to be honest, reading.
Yeah.
I started sampling lots of other things, like I always do. I was like, I can't. Yeah. So Invincible. Do you remember my Invincible story of reading?
Yeah.
So I'm giving a little bit of a break.
Okay.
I don't know. I just got kind of like. No, like it became like so monotonic, like I was doing every single night and blah blah blah. So I was like, oh fuck it, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So
yeah,
I decided to go back into a young Blueberry, which I haven't read many stories.
Yes, that's right. You were telling me.
Yeah, you're lucky enough to have it in actual nice format, in the paper, like in the paper format. Yeah. But I couldn't get hold of those still. I mean, I'm always trying to look for them, but it's not something you can see them at a time. So unfortunately, I had to go and scrounge internet for something like that to read. So I did read. I read all 4 stories, I guess, or volumes they call them.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it as always. The last one story was actually not even drawn anymore by Mobius.
I see. Okay, that makes sense, because I was just gonna say I thought there was only 3 that Epic put out, but if that's the case, then that makes total sense. Then if he only did, if the last one wasn't him, that they wouldn't have published it. I'm just gonna look.
Yeah, so I can show it to you.
Interesting. Yeah.
So Blank.
Yeah, volume 1 is the only one that I don't have.
Yeah, so Blank Dumont is the artist for the.
Sorry, it's been a while. Sorry, I'm waiting for someone to click the button. I'm like, Adam, why aren't you clicking the button?
Yeah, we're still with Adam there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so a different artist and writer, Cote Gianni and Blank Dumont, and I think an art. But it wasn't too bad. It was, like when you used to having Blueberry drawn by Mobius, of course you're gonna go like, oh, like, how dare you, kind of thing, like, how dare you, like when you go from from the classics, like I showed the page, like when you go from this, and then you go, I need to just,
and that's a good size to be able to read that on too.
Yeah, and you go to this. I mean, they really tried their best, but it's
just different.
No, it's too clean. You see, it's too clean.
Yeah.
Mobius has those lines which he likes. Like he says in some of them, you can read in here. He's telling you how he was, like he talks himself in the third person in a way. Mm-hmm. Like, when I was Jean Giraud, I was drawing Blueberry at the beginning. That's my start. But when Mobius took over, it's like, what is he talking about? It's like you. It's you, Mobius. But anyway, so he says, Mobius took over. He said he was drawing differently now. It's like getting more kind of like you got into this rhythm of being Mobius in a way. I think that's what he was like writing in there. But the stories so far you have, like, it's really good. I mean, you have like typical stories where our Blueberry basically gets into shit by no reason. So the first one, when the origin of a Blueberry, we find out why he's even been called Blueberry, because he saw a blueberry bush, and that's how he basically became like as Blueberry because he was hiding.
Okay.
And it all began in his quest for this female. And quest for this female here.
Yeah.
She was one of the rich, like plantations guys, and then because it happened between Civil War, the two South and North or whatever. I don't really clearly, it's East or West. I don't know. I'm sorry, history is not my strong point. After reading those, so Yankees and somebody else basically.
Yeah, the North and the South. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. So it wasn't so bad. So and then basically. He's was courting this lady, but the father, who's down there, he wasn't very interested in Blueberry because he wasn't like what he wanted to have. They had this that in those times, you have a cousin who loves you, like inter family things,
Yeah.
It's like gross cousin, like in these days.
Yeah.
But in those days, there were like cousins marrying cousins, or like all that stuff. So.
Fucking white people, hey?
Yeah. And then basically, and Blueberry was like, he grew up in the area where his dad has this also plantation. They have lots of slaves, and he didn't see it any differently because you grew up in that kind of environment. You don't see anything like going on. That's the young Blueberry until shit happens where that cousin who's supposed to basically marry that chick, he's the bad guy in the story.
Of course, he has to be.
Yeah, and he kills the father. The cousin kills the father, so his uncle. He kills the uncle, and of course, Blueberry's in the wrong place in the wrong time, and he gets accused of it. So from that point onwards, Blueberry, from this basically story, Blueberry starts running, and he continues running. It's like non-stop. He was in the stories. What was fantastic to read, it was very quick pace in a way, because it had a lot of happenings for Blueberry. Like he went from he was pushed to go, basically he was running away from south to north, and while running away, so he joined north, and we can hear your accent, like in those times, whatever the way you spoke, people knew where you're from, like kind of that dialect everywhere, you can kind of familiar yourself with people. So he basically ran and got recruited by north to go and attack south. He's like conflicted because at the end of the day he's going against his own people, but he doesn't have a choice. So he makes up his name for being Micah Blueberry because he sees a blueberry bush basically, and he calls himself Blueberry, and everyone's like, what's that surname like? It's like, no, that's me basically. Anyway, so his name is, I think, Mike Donovan. Oh, maybe I'm just, I don't know. The real name of his is that but yeah, the art style is great. In this digital format I think there were some retouches was there happening, so I was like, not really happy about that. But in generally they tend to be whatever I've seen before. Like I scoured the internet to see what kind of pages there's going to be like, because this is basically much more looser Mobius. Like no more Jean Giraud, because Jean Giraud was like, if you watch the Earl Grey's video, he was talking about that person called Gillet. I think that's his name. Is the mentor of Jean Giraud.
Yeah.
And he was drawing in those first 5 epics. He was basically helping helping Mobius to do some panels as well. So he was helping him in there. So while he was apprenticing with Gillet. And then afterwards, because he got his fame and all that stuff, things become like people are starting to like it a lot. So I guess, the name got out of everybody that I guess he changed his name. I don't know why he changed his name from Jean Giraud to be Mobius, to be honest. I haven't even, I probably heard it somewhere, but I don't remember now. So shit. I can't.
Can you still hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Because all of a sudden my screen froze up there. I think one of the things, it was really to signify like a change in his art style, really, is to kind of separate that Blueberry style to this kind of new style that he had, not necessarily created, but he kind of had grown attached to, and I think specific to science fiction stories as well. So I think that was the main reason. And I mean, he seems to be one of those guys like the Jodorowskis and the people in that kind of world, this kind of mystical element to them almost. So they kind of, they did these things on purpose to kind of just this bigger gesture, this bigger kind of almost spiritual gesture or whatever. Yeah.
So there you go. So in a sense that, and then basically these young blueberry stories was told after that, so they continued with it. The fame was there, so they produced this young, and there's his older age as well. Apparently there is some stories with him being older already, blueberry, but like even older than what we saw before, like in those epic editions.
Yes.
But I think these ones were after those as well. I mean, I'm sorry for timeline, I'm not really like technical and I can't tell you all, guys, but basically it's a young blueberry stories to tell you before what happened, basically. So the paneling is amazing. Colors are as beautiful as ever. His art style is as beautiful as ever. You can recognize blueberry, even though it's like more or less looser and more fluid in a way. It's less like constrained, kind of like not overly perfect kind of thing. He wasn't already trying to impress anybody because he already was comfortable to what he was as an artist, I guess. So it was definitely I love those dark panels where they use the purples. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to.
I was gonna say before too. The backgrounds look incredible. Those colors.
Yeah, and they are magnificent. And the stories, as I say, like this is what happened basically, where he's running away, and that's the way he murdered the uncle is by fire. Basically, they burned the whole house with him inside, and then he pretended to run away. And Blueberry was coming back for stupid reasons because his conscience basically fucked him up. In honestly, in a bad word saying. So anyway, so he was accused that he's running away to North, gets recruited by North, and then they're going south, and they keep on helping those North. And because it's Blueberry, and he's, like kind of like the same character we know from those epic stories. Like in English, I'm keep on telling epic because that's how I read it. So, and he's clever, he's witty, he just wants to do kind of thing, and he's starting to realize the good, the bad, and the ugly kind of thing of everything. And he tries to help, but then he doesn't want to kill people. Then he has to kind of things, and then he goes back to South in some of the stories as well. He goes back to South trying to be like safeguarding himself from not being recognized, but of course there's a person, of course, going to recognize him, and that person starts to chase him, like all that, those kind of stories happening. Really incredible. I honestly enjoy. I didn't want to stop sometimes, and then when you're reading at nighttime, it's like, okay, I have to go sleep. I'm kind of sleepy, but it's like it's in very, very easy flowing stories to read, and it's entertaining because if you, as much as like I am a fangirl of the Blueberry from previous stuff, so of course I will like this. It's just because it has the same feel to it.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoyed it as far as I read, and as I say, the art-wise, really, really entertaining. And I must say, reading now more those digital, and I'm not saying anything about paper because I still love that bloody paper, and I love that smell and stuff like that. But I must say something: the colors. You cannot get the same feeling, like you have to be in incredibly good light, and especially in winter, like I showed you here.
Just show it up close to the camera again.
So in winter, like sunlight is not there for you, so this is really helpful to read in that kind of sense. Of course, if you have an iPad, I tried sometimes to read on like a computer screen, but I can't. I like to have it like at least holding this tablet and basically reading through. But the colors are just spectacular, as I say. And the background,
super nice.
And the background is like, as I say, it's Mobius. It's typical Mobius Blueberry stuff. So absolutely loved it. So after this, I was kind of disappointed because I had, like I get again excited about Western stuff, but I wasn't able to find for my palette to what to read. So I decide, where is it? I decided to delve into DC. What I'm talking about. I went into JSA, so Justice Society of America. So I basically am very interested in Hawk Girl and the mythos, but apparently if you want to kind of like get to know whatever that started with DC and her. It's apparently you should read some GSA. I looked on somebody was mentioning it on Twitter, and I was like, okay, let's have a look. And to my luck, maybe it is my luck, but anyway, digitally Comixology is doing sales for older stuff.
Nice.
So I managed to get this first volume. It says Jeff Johns on the first volume, but it's not really. It's James Robinson so far where I'm reading. I'm not really far into it. It's basically it's the story. I'll show you just there. That's the new GSA team.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you have a Wildcats, Stargirl, but now they call her like Star Spangling Kid or something like that. You have
all right.
Yeah, you have a Green Lantern, you have Sandman, and the Sandman in here. Basically, the story starts in here from the old Sandman. He's dying, or he's gonna kill himself, and because apparently something happened in this universe prior to that, but Dr. Fate was dead as well. So, and knowing Dr. Fate, as far as I was familiar with it, Dr. Fate is give me a second. I want to show you to some. That's the new Sandman. Dr. Fate apparently can be reborn into other entities. I mean, it's never dying. You have the helmet, you have all the garb and stuff like that. And there's a child who's supposed to be born, and there's the villain who's after the child because he doesn't want Dr. Fate to be in existence, so he can basically take over and be the baddie of the whole universe and something like that. So it's really good. It's extremely entertaining as well. I'm surprised because I was thinking, like art, I'm not sure if I'm going to get into it, but art is really good. And this is the new Sandman getting into basically his own powers. And this new Sandman is a previous sidekick of old Sandman as well. So he's just getting into the powers in here. And what's nice about this, the way story starts, I didn't really feel like I'm missing out on anything because it's just the beginning of the story, and writing is quite good. They tell you a little bit, and what was more fascinating for me, because in a couple of issues I've read, I found out a bit more about the Dr. Fate, and it's really nice and mysterious character because when you put that helmet, they have the previous Dr. Fates inside the helmet, like their consciousness, like when they die.
Right. Yeah.
Because when they die, they basically, that's the afterlife is in that helmet. They end up living their own life, but they are there to help to a new person who's gonna take over the mantle. So yeah, really good so far in this, but
it's a good classic kind of artwork style too. Like it seems to work really well with that kind of era of character, I guess.
I'll tell you who the artist, because I've I've heard that era of like new DC came out and they were coming out with all the style like characters. This is Mr. Terrific, and I never thought he was already prior to that, because I'm not that much familiar with DC universe. I'm kind of new to it. So he's been before. So I thought they made up this character, but apparently he was before that. So, and that's how you find out but while reading. Okay, so this Goya and Robinson is the writer. This one in this issue is Weak Coin. There's some interesting names of the artists, to be honest. Jesus, tablets, man! I'm still learning how to use them properly. That's a creative team in here. It's quite a few names in here. Editor is Tomasi, which is interesting. He's the now writer of.
That's right. Yeah. Rich, is that what we said? Rich Tomasi?
I think so, maybe. Hello, Enigma.
Hello, Enigma.
Yeah.
I was watching that video just before Rasa joined up there, Enigma. The Ditko Unleashed book looks really, really great. I just got kind of 20 minutes into their video.
Yeah. Okay, and then another thing what I was surprised by it, I see Wonder Woman, but in this story so far, or what we had of her, actually, she was called Hippolyta. So her name is different. I guess the story before, it was still the continuation in DC world was like everything entangled together. So I think something happened that she was like in charge, and her mother wasn't there anymore. So she was called Hippolyta, and there's another Wonder Woman in this universe apparently. So anyway,
Okay.
so it's more interesting. As I say, it's kind of something new for me to discover in a way. Like it's brand new feeling to the DC universe.
So hold on, just back up there for 1 sec. Hippolyta, Wonder Woman's mother, right? But in this universe, you're saying that Hippolyta is Wonder Woman?
Yeah, apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah. So something happened, as I say, something happened between somebody or in you know, because she didn't partake in JSA, because new JSA doesn't have her anymore as a part of the members. She's gonna be there in the background. Let's say if we're gonna ask her to come, she's gonna come, but she's no more, because this is basically resurrection of from the old to the new. Basically, we're trying to resurrect Justice Society of America, and that's where you have new characters like New Sandman. You have that Stargirl, but now, and you have Starman in here, which unfortunately I've never read. And Robinson is the writer who's lots of people saying, "Oh, you like it to read it, or you don't." A lot of like Howler Mouse is really into Starman. Yeah. So unfortunately, the problem with that is that they don't reprint them, you know, that kind of thing. So if you want to find something like that, I guess you have to go digital, but not many ones do. Oh, I have like one issue in actual form, and I looked in the art, and I actually absolutely loved it. And I read that issue, and I enjoyed the character itself. In here, he is a little bit of a dickhead, to be honest. It's like, oh, come I have this stuff, I'm gonna do whatever, you know, like I'm gonna be part of a team if you want me to, kind of thing. And you're like, do you really want to be part of his team or something like that? So it's really good so far what I am experiencing. So really good. I mean, art-wise it's really good. Story-wise it's still very nice as well. So yeah, that's another thing I was reading.
And it's kind of cool reading it on an iPad that size too, because I mean, you know, it sort of mimics the feel of reading a book, you know what I mean? Like, but I agree with you, like, as much as I love the print, I mean, there is something appealing to the little bit that I've dabbled into digital. I haven't read a lot of digital, just a little bit. There is a quality to it for sure. Just to back up, like for your Blueberry, did you ever read, did you get into Marshall Blueberry? I don't remember if you read into Marshall Blueberry.
No.
Okay.
I didn't, unfortunately. As I say, I have, because you see, when I found my epics, I was celebrating so much, I didn't realize how much there's more. Because I remember, we were seeing quite a few of them, but you know, like, oh, I'm gonna get it next time, and I never did, and I regret to say, like, those one of the regrets. So I have some like, I think I have another one, but I don't remember which it is, or Marshall or Young, one of them, but just only one single volume of the time that came out. So
I was looking on a couple of things. Like, I've got a wish list on mycomicshop.com. A couple of things popped up on there the other day, so I made a very very small order. And as I was looking to kind of fill in my order to take advantage of the shipping, because the shipping is completely reasonable, of course, from the States to Canada. So I was looking to fill in the order to make it really worth the while. And I just had to look through the Blueberry stuff just to see. And it just, it never ceases to amaze me how fucking expensive that stuff is. And I mean, it must be something that's held up in rights, because the fact that hasn't seen any sort of reprint yet at this point, just, it astounds me. It's really just crazy. It seems like that would just be an absolute cash cow. But I mean, and again, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how well the Mobius stuff did that just got reprinted recently, you know, all the hardcover collection stuff. Maybe they didn't do as well. Who knows? But I feel like the Blueberry stuff would just go like gangbusters, man.
Oh yeah, I think so. But I mean, it always has. I think it's what we're talking about reprints. I'm not sure how it is in other languages. I think they have more leeway or freedom on doing reprints. But I think in English, that's what the huge problem is. I think we are missing out. Like, we always keep on to continue telling every single time we talk about that kind of stuff, especially European, because we don't read in other languages, unfortunately. yeah, so they wouldn't basically, I don't know why. I mean, I guess you, like you say, rights are an issue, like
It's gotta be.
the thing is, what Dajos has printed so far of Mobius is much more out of the like something conventional, to be honest, to what people like. Oh, this is a blueberry, and it's completely out of the blue things. Like, not everybody
Sure.
likes that kind of stories. It's like quite quirky and like more
But I mean,
underground.
maybe that's the key right there. Like, if they were working on Blueberry for another company, and then all this other stuff is getting reprinted, like the Inkall and stuff, like who has the rights to the Inkall? It's going to be Jodorowsky and Mobius, I imagine. Who's got the rights to Blueberry? Whoever it was that was publishing it in the magazines, right? Like, I'm sure that's what it probably is. Yeah, that makes sense.
They were originally printed in this weekly, like a magazine, like almost like what Dark Horse doing.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know. Yeah, and then afterwards they went into heavy metal, or didn't they? I don't know. I'm not sure about that kind of part. I know that they were printed in something weekly, like magazine. They had those.
Yeah, it was like a Tintin type of thing. It wasn't Tintin itself, but it was one of those kind of magazines. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If Paulo or G were here, they'd be able to tell us in a heartbeat.
Oh no, yeah, they have like a encyclopedia in their heads.
They know that stuff.
Not like what's us like raking our brains.
Yeah.
Like, what is that name?
What was that guy's name? Yeah.
I think no, I don't think I remember. Anyway.
So what else was on that site where you found the Blueberry? Was there anything else that, like, I'm assuming you were just flicking through? Was there anything else that caught your attention that you kind of bookmarked to read later?
No, because I just wanted Blueberry. I had one goal, and I just went for Blueberry. It's just, I get that feeling. I honestly, after reading that, I kind of like, I'm gonna reread again the Epic editions, because it just gives me that such a nice, comforting feeling to Blueberry reading. Hello, Govidal. Hello.
Good day to you.
So in that sense, I wanted to do that. But anyway, I was busy afterwards reading. Go is here just in time. Yeah, Enigma.
Yeah.
That Pilote was that's the one where they were first printing Blueberry. I was reading.
There you go.
So I haven't finished it because as I say, I am really dabbler into things, and when it gets
a phone book.
Yeah, it's the phone book, but I'm not bad into it. I mean, like,
no, that's a pretty good chunk.
Yeah, quarter into it, and it's fantastic, to be honest. There is this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this villain. I remember just now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing now before even telling everybody. It's like I'm holding my laughter to somebody. I forgot. I can't find the name now. It's so funny. What's the villain's name is? Oh my god! Now I can't see it, and I remember like the laughter why I'm laughing. But okay, so this is fantastic. Okay, it's very out of the, like, let's say it has some language where you like, why? Like, it's really out there kind of, in a way, not silly, but like, I mean, it doesn't take itself serious. Sometimes it feels like. Yes, I've met Yaka. Yeah, It was a good story for sure. It's interesting how it went as well, but it's very entertaining. It has a lot of like quests, which I enjoy. I really enjoy. It's kind of, as I said to you before, like similar to Usagi Yojimbo. You have a guy, like a sword, an animal kind of like character goes into quest, and he's a warrior of the greatest things. And you have, like black and white, but it's really fantastic to read, and you get into the stories. And this. So there's this guy, Eric the Elrod. So he's basically is from Moorcock's. What is the Elric?
Oh yeah, Elric. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's taking a piss of that character. It has to be, because he looks the same, and then but he's extremely annoying. He's absolutely annoying because the way he talks to him, like he's like above Cerebus, and he's absolutely like, shut up, just stop talking. And he's like, oh, you don't understand. And there's this quest where he went into this magician's lair, and he's like, Cerebus, like, like just trying to escape. Basically, you have somebody who's like chatting your ear, and he's like, oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to be like sane anymore because he just doesn't stop. And he's like, oh, like he keeps calling him son and stuff like that, and he's like, oh my god, shut up, I can't take this anymore. Oh yeah, his name is Elrod the Albino, so that's his that's his name. So they go into the castle and get captured, both of them, because it's a magician's place, and he's like saying, don't try to, they don't try too hard, and Cerberus like, no, I'm gonna escape, and he does it, and he's like, oh, well done. Like that kind of person. It's like always like in there to have the comment, oh, I don't think you can do it, and he does it. Oh, it's like, oh, well done. So it's such a great thing, and now you should let me out as well. It's like, and he leaves him and not talking to him at all. Okay, so you come back afterwards when you do your quest, kind of thing. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be escaping from that place.
Yeah.
So and then and there's there's a story. I need to find the name because this is gonna be the best part of this. Bloody, I hate this. Like I get really into the storytelling and I forget the names. That's the best bloody part. Oh yeah. This villain's name is All Hail Bran McMuffin. I was like, oh, what the fuck? And I was like, every single time I was reading this, I could not stop laughing. It's like they live in this underground lair. And then they have this figure, they like the god statue where they all believe in, and then they see Cerberus and they don't know, like Cerberus like, why are you looking at me like this weirdly? And then it's like they talking and they introducing themselves kind of thing, and then you see the statue, and there you go. It's a spoiler alert. And the statues you can see in here. Can you see it?
Yeah, totally see it. Yeah,
it's basically him.
Amazing. Yeah.
So, and he's like, what the hell? What is this? And he's like, whoa, that's our savior come back to us. And then we're going to do, because basically this group of I don't know, people, I guess, or, so they are the ones who basically goes and just fights somebody, takes over their land, and then go on quest on another one. And they needed him, basically, savior, to help them even do more things. So, they finally found him. He came when he was supposed to come, and it's going to help him. And Sarah was like, no, kind of thing. I'm at the back of his head. You can hear, like, you can see his bubbles thinking no, I'm not doing this stuff. I was like, I'm not going to help you anything. If I'm going to help you, there's some kind of thing for me. But then he basically ends up being so angry, the Cerberus, and destroys the statue and leaves. So this is kind of a story, but it's like he has those names for villains like Bran McMuffin, and you can't take it seriously, but it's absolutely hilarious. A lot of characters like Gore keep on talking about Yaka, and the way he met Yaka was while he was in the pub having a drink, because Cerberus likes to have a pint or whatever that drink he likes to, or and they basically insert something into his drink, and apparently he basically gets like a spell, and he sees this Yaka, the female dancer, and he gets completely smitten by her, like completely, to the point where it's like, oh, you just marry him. And there's this panel here, which basically reminds me of those Disney characters, like Bugs Bunny gets in, or something like that. Somebody gets in love. Float
the
because
of that stuff.
So that kind of stuff, and then, as I say, it's fantastic read. I'm going all over the place, but honestly, whatever I've read, I laughed. I was surprised. I was like, like giggling inside myself because of like it's a nice story to read. It's entertaining, and Cerberus is becoming more and more intriguing to me in the way of, like his patience levels because of that albino, the Elric the albino, and stuff like that, and what happens to the Yaka as well, how he basically wakes up from that spell of love, and he's like, because before he wakes up from the spell, he's basically promising Yaka to live and give all the things, whatever he has, to her. And and when he wakes up, he basically tells her who the fuck you are, kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
he just leaves, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna hopefully see you next in the future, and I'm like, so she probably will. And the story of Black Sun Rising was very interesting, where Cerebus
cool.
gets he gets in trouble, and stuff like that. It's, as I say, very interesting questy stories of him going around, basically going from one place to another one, and of course people find him, ask him to help, and he goes help them, and then from that point onwards we have the story going there. And as I say, so far I was already, after reading just quarter way through, I was starting to look for volumes like 2 of there's 4 of them, I think, and surprisingly not easy to find. There's a reprints as well, but as I say, I kind of have the printing of prior to that, so reprinted volume 2 would be kind of weird to have, but I will see how I feel after finishing it all, and if it's worth my time to go for hunting for it. But so far, what I've read and what it's been, so very entertaining. Honestly, it's.
Cool.
I think you should read it as well if you can.
Yeah, I totally want to. Absolutely want to.
Yeah, because as I say, people are talking about it a lot about this character, but like as I say, he can I'm not sure what he's gonna go from here onwards. I guess gonna go crazier and crazier, I presume. But so far, I enjoy it. It's that kind of like, as I say, those names he's picking up, the characters he's using in them. Of course, not calling them the same as what you know.
Yeah.
Just I guess not to get like license problems and stuff like that, but
more of like a satire, right? Yeah,
exactly. So in that sense, it's really good and really entertaining.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and thankfully I've started reading it, so I am really enjoying it. What else I was reading, to be honest?
I love that style too, like that format rather is what I'm trying to say. It's a really nice, like, they're hefty volumes for sure, but they look great, and I'm sure that paper is like that old great newsprint too, and the black and white looks killer on it.
Yeah, exactly. But what I like about those phone books is like you open the page, you see everything. Like you don't have a trouble or like those other trade paperbacks you sometimes get, like you can't really see in the panels inside, which drives me absolutely bonkers. But in this one, it's like, you open the page and it's there, and it feels
awesome.
great. It's actually, because it's newsprint, it's lighter to feel to it. It's hefty book, but it doesn't feel like, it doesn't have the same weight as you would think. This age paper is kind of heavier stock, which people are using all the time. So, but yeah, honestly, I'm happy I start reading this, because when you need something to relax kind of thing and just go like and see what Cerebus is going to be up to and who's going to meet up, and is that Eric the Elrod is going to, like, the Elrod the albino is going to be basically in there and going to annoy him again. So Church Stage 2 volume 2. Then comes Saka story. There you go.
I was watching. I binged The Mandalorian, the 2 seasons, and that was one of the things. Like you touched on it there too, about like just kind of going from place to place and just taking up these quests. And okay, well, I've got to do this. It's those kind of stories, if they're done well, they can work really well. Like I've always loved that idea of a character just moving through a story, sort of out of their control to some degree. Yeah, I bet you the letters pages are fantastic, Gore. I imagine they were fucking stellar, especially, well, maybe not especially, but I'm sure they were really great near the beginning, and probably Miss Tree level great throughout the whole series, especially once he started shifting and, and Danny left him, or whatever, Danny Lubert left him. I'm sure it starts getting real tawdry.
So that's really good to go into, as I say, every time. I mean, you don't have to like, I mean, I could go through all the volume and in quick like read, like, say, my pace, of course, but I just leave it and go back again to it, because it's just that how good for you, it's like entertaining wise. Like I don't need to, because you kind of like, because it's quest, it kind of becomes a little bit too much of the same. So every single time I feel like, I need to just change my brain waves kind of thing. I read a story, it picks me up straight away because the way Cerebus reacts to it, and when they keep on calling him this, who are you, this pig and stuff like that, and he's like, I'm the mighty earth pig, how dare you talking to me like that, I'm Cerebus the Great, kind of almost the same to that point. So yeah,
I'm just looking on.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm listening. I'm just looking on my comic shop while we're talking.
Yeah, and one of the things I had really wanted to read, which unfortunately I cannot do at the moment.
Yeah.
In America, you can buy. Apparently, Deadman's Omnibus came out with all the great stories of Neil Adams inside and all other ones, whatever he appeared into. Unfortunately, in UK at the moment, even though it's released already in America, you can't get hold of volume of Omnibus. I don't know, maybe they didn't arrive because of, let's say, world doesn't have the same like we have in the world situation at the moment. So I guess that's why the delay is there. But I'm really kind of biting my nails to the point is the first Omnibus, which I kind of want to get because I know it's going to get sold out, because if you can see any Deadman single issues, they are high in price because of Neil Adams' name first. Second is because his appearance now is out of the fucking crazy level. Because before I remember even thinking about, I can get that Deadman's first appearance. Now it's into like hundreds and hundreds of pounds, depends of the condition of the comic book. So, and every other one is being picked up more in price because of Neil Adams' name. And in that era of Neil Adams, his art is absolutely fantastic.
It's killer, yeah.
Yeah, but of course I was like, okay, I just want to have a feel of it, and I wanted to know. So I got hold of issue 205.
Excellent,
in that form. But after reading this, basically, I paid 79 pence for this issue. Or something like that. Anyway, I want to actually read in paper, even though I saw somebody already showing on YouTube the actual printed book. And I just really want to have hold of it, but I'm, as I say, biting my nails to see if I'm going to actually be able to even purchase it. Because I want to have that in my collections. The first probably Omnibus, I'm completely I want to get it, no matter what.
Well, I mean, the thing to keep, my usual bone of contention with Omnibus is make sure that you have a look inside. Because I mean, for my eyes, the coloring is 90% of the time it's just absolute and utter shit. You know what I mean? There is a comic series. I'm going to try to get to the box. There's because I've got a couple of those. Obviously I don't have his first appearance, and the couple of copies that I do have are beat to hell, but there was another where they reissued them in comic book form. I don't remember the year. I probably won't be able to get them here, but I'll remember to pull them out and have a look and send you photos, because there was some that got reprinted that are probably very affordable, much more so than getting the Strange Adventures stuff. And from what I remember, it's been a long time since I've sat and looked at them. From what I remember, the coloring was pretty good in those too. I don't know if it's kind of on par with the originals, but they would be better, I think. And again, I've not heard of this Omnibus, so maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe the Omnibus looks fucking amazing, right? So, but I mean, the thing is, Neil Adams,
Yeah.
Batman, Neil Adams. Well, because I mean, Neil Adams, from what I understand, Gore is saying it too. The Batman Neil Adams Omnibus recolored, and it was awful. I think he has a hand in recoloring it. And I remember seeing some thread with somebody saying, like, for God's sakes, DC, get Neil Adams' hands off of his own work. Like, he's destroying it. You know what I mean? So I think that it's kind of like that idea.
Yeah, but I saw actually the person flip through it. The first thing already kind of drives me absolutely bonkers is that it's so binding, but it's absolutely tight. So when you can't even open the page, and there's quite a lot of pages in that volume as well. So that's already a alarm bell. The problem is that Deadman doesn't get printed as often as you would like to. Okay, so to get hold of his issues, of course, you have to go or digital, which is the most easiest way to get hold of it.
Yeah.
Or if you just do want to have in the paper, you are kind of like, because not paying the high prices of whatever your Yoshis come out, you have to basically get those kind of stupid reprints. And then even this reprint apparently of this Omnibus, they already delayed it like for 4 or 5 months because they announced
really?
DC is having issues with anything, whatever comes out anyway lately, apparently. But it's they collected issue place or whatever they like section of DC is even having more problems anyway. So knowing that they are doing that kind of thing, even seeing that in print is actually quite nice to even, just because I saw the pages the person was flipping through and it wasn't awful. Of course, it looks
okay.
it looks kind of like, like not touched up, but like modernized kind of color printing.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really help because it's like, like you wanted to feel of that newsprint, and the person saying they wish that they printed on newsprint because they would have the same feeling. But he wasn't complaining about the art, which is another thing, which is okay then, hopefully. But of course, I would like to see it in my own hands. But as I say, because it doesn't reprint as often, and a character like him, Deadman, is not so like easy to get, like to be in print because of maybe popularity or what, or
Exactly.
his popularity.
He's not like a top tier character, right? He's not someone that people are clamoring for. Yeah.
Yeah, and DC never been very good with that kind of stuff. Like they are amazing with, of course, Batman and all his family. They're gonna reprint those series from like 100 times more than, for example, Deadman will ever have that kind of chance.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying that I really would like to get hold of it. But hopefully, I'll find it when it comes. Gonna be available in this country. Kind of like
I'm just gonna pop my headphones out for 1 sec while I grab this box. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, no worries. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna show a couple of pages. And the first, like in his first appearance, the artist wasn't Neil Adams yet. It doesn't say who it is, but on art. But it's fantastic. I still liked it to read this one issue I got hold of. And Deadman, if you people don't know, he's a trapeze artist who unfortunately got killed while in action in the circus. But he got resurrected by, not himself, but his spirit was resurrected by Indian god Ramash. As I say,
Ramakrishna or Krishna.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. So he will get revived by that person, that entity, and then he is able to basically take over your body and no memories. You keep no memories after he's using your body, and then you wake up when he leaves you, and you're like, "Oh, what the hell happened?" And people will tell you what's going on around. Oh yeah, Carmine Infantino. Yeah, I think so. You're correct on that point as well. Gore, thank you very much for information once again. Names and me, like horrible.
Here's the issues that I have of the Strange Adventures. They're pretty beat up, but I mean, even that, like those covers, the covers were just great.
Mm-hmm.
And then the infamous trapeze, like with the background, I love that face in the background is just incredible as well.
Yeah. Oh, you have quite a few, man.
Well. Yeah, just 4 of them. I thought I only had 2 or 3, but I guess I have 4 of them. Yeah, which I didn't realize. And that's an amazing cover, like just an astounding cover. And again, like I think I've talked about it before, this era of DC where they used that entire page like that, I always thought was impressive. Very, very cool.
So another thing I found out as well, the person was talking about. So Deadman was created by Arnold Drake. That's his script. That's his first basically appearance in that Strange Adventures 205. And in this omnibus, it's not been mentioned because he's only wrote 2 stories, I think, or 2 issues.
Okay.
And then they been took over by Neil Adams, and I don't know who's the original writer of afterwards with Neil Adams. I don't know who the writer was.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's have a look. I'm sure this is just because this is number 206, I think, right? Yeah.
So that's still Carmine.
It's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, because.
But of course, with these ones, it doesn't say at the front.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Did you find it?
And even that.
Yeah, look at that.
The old Spectre, like it's so great. Yeah, this one is Bedell. It's got quite a texture on this. I love it. Smells to high heaven. A couple of stories in here. Sorry, as I try to find the end of the Deadman story. Yeah, crazy. No credits whatsoever here.
Yeah, they don't. They tend not to
they
do
usually
that.
don't.
Jerry Conway.
Yeah,
He's saying maybe. I don't know.
could be.
I really,
Yeah, we'd have to look online at this point.
yeah.
I found the box with those reprints too. I'll show you those as well. Deadman.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I'm looking to see if I find any information. Oh, like stupid! I could actually look at in that supposed omnibus. Oh. Well, I'm not ready. I am not
Here you
ready.
go. This is the one I was talking about. So these are the reprints. So I'll do this again.
Yeah.
So these are the reprints where they reprint all that Strange Adventure stuff. We'll pop one open and have a look here too.
It is Jerry Conway. There's Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and joined him a couple of times, and Jack Miller. That's the creative team of that era of Deadman.
Yeah, so I mean, these are like, nice quality. There's the back of it there.
Yep.
So recolored for sure, but I mean, not horrible. And I mean, maybe it's not horrible to me because this is what I grew up with. Like these, when I was getting into the Spectre and Deadman and stuff, this was the first Deadman that I ever bought. These are the books. So I mean, it doesn't look unusual to me because I mean, I flipped through these damn things. I read these damn things. I don't know how many times, but it looks pretty good actually on a second look. It doesn't look horrible.
I looked in now because I read that first issue and it doesn't look bad at all. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have that, like that. Yeah. No, it doesn't look bad at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's, it's on the crisper white paper. All of that stuff is going on for it. But still, so there was one, number 2.
Yeah, but the covers are shitty comparison.
They're shitty in comparison, 100%.
Yeah.
The only one the one that I really like is this one here. I really like this. I like the use of the page on that one. Turned out really good.
I'm gonna show you something.
Number 5.
I'm gonna show you what I did. I had the same one Deadman comic book I had, which was in absolute like pieces of coming out, like literally like every single page was coming out. It was put together in a book, put it in a bag and sold. So I was like, oh my, when I opened I was like so disappointed, but I was like, okay, let me do something. And I think I told you last time, but I never showed you what I did to them. I have this. That's what it's done.
Cool.
I decoupaged my drawers, basically these little drawers.
Excellent, yeah.
Adam's art.
That's pretty cool.
So, it's fantastic. They were breaking apart, and I was thinking I'm going to lose them. So instead of losing them now, I'm looking at them almost every single time I come to this room. So in that sense, they're on display, and I keep on admiring them. So that's what I did.
It's pretty awesome.
I mean, I know it's not something people do to their comic book, but it was split apart. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What you do to that? Like, I'm gonna just keep it in a nice contained bag, and I'm gonna rather look at it, kind of thing, And
then here's a mini series. So this is Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Andrew Helfer. So a little 4-issue run or 4-issue mini series, which that first cover is phenomenal.
This one is collected in that omnibus as well.
These ones are okay.
Yeah, the omnibus contains quite lots of stuff inside. To be honest, whatever.
Yeah, that's 1986.
Aquaman issue 50 and from 52, which I didn't even know that he was part of that. Then because Neil Adams drawn, he had a story there. Like those older comic books always usually have 2 stories.
Yep.
So the backstory is of Deadman.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you have that, but afterwards collected in the Batman, like the team up. There's a couple of Deadman's appearances there's collected in that omnibus. Then there's some other stories I've never heard of. That there is
I've got a beat up appearance of him in Forever People that's drawn all over it, but some Kirby goodness there doing his version of Deadman. And And these were ones that I loved as well too. These Kelly Jones, which I showed you that poster before. So just a 2-issue series of this Love After Death. And then probably my favorite, well, I mean, that one's good too, but I absolutely loved this one. This Exorcism was just incredible. Mike Baron and Kelly Jones, but those covers, and I mean, again, like Kelly Jones' version of Batman of Deadman is just absolutely incredible. Just really shriveled away, and like very, very cool stuff. Yeah, that's cool. I'd love to see. I'm going to keep my eyes open then to have a look. I'm sure some videos will pop up from people about that omnibus.
Oh yeah. There's a couple already. So, but yeah, I definitely, I was already looking everywhere in the webs to see, and like, your conventional shops, non-conventional shops. Everyone says in my part of the world, out of stock, but then some of them says, oh, pre-order, and then another says out of stock. So I'm just like, it's confusing because you're like, oh, just like they can't tell you information kind of in a way because they don't probably know, or which is annoying to be honest. I even told my husband, like, I'm gonna buy this, and he's like, how much is it? I don't know. It's like between this and this. It's like, what? For a book? I was like, I'm buying. It's like,
but it's everything.
But I was like, just this one. I kind of just this one.
Yeah. It's not gonna be a series of them,
Yeah. But it's like so many, as I say, so many collected in the thing, which like it's the full-on story of the dead man. It's like, I really want to kind of thing, what they did to him. And I, like, I'm interested in the character as well. So, and I like those kind of DC characters. Like, you have Spectre, another thing, like that Dr. Fate I told you from that JSA story I was reading. Absolutely, I'm into it kind of thing. I'm familiar with Dr. Fate more from cartoons. Because of course, in cartoons disappeared. That the tower where he lives, in that mind tower or whatever, that tower where it doesn't exist in the plane of existence is in between that kind of thing. So So just
Gore Vidal commenting on your between this and that.
Exactly, kind of thing. And then the next thing on sale, I should actually don't do this digital thingies, but anyway, they have this, which I've never read of, and I'm never gonna get hold of this appearance. And this is Marvel Masterworks, or on sale, 79 pence per volume.
Those Marvel Masterworks books are so fucking expensive. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. And those, especially with those first appearances, they are even higher prices afterwards as well. And it's difficult to get hold of them even on that. But you can see this, like you flip, and it's nice. And you see there's introduction by Roy Thomas in here. Let me show you that's his first appearance. And there you go. And you have Stan Lee, Gary Friedrich, conceived and written by Gary Friedrich and drawn by Mike Plug. So I've never read this first appearance. Now I'm spoiling it to myself because I haven't yet read it. So when I'm going to read, I'll definitely report to you guys. But so far, it's okay. I mean, it's great to look at this, that era of the time. But Ghost Rider has always been, even the movies I watched, I enjoyed him as a character. I felt like he's very cool in that time when I was watching those movies. So I want to find out a bit more of his, basically who he is in actual Marvel universe, and get to know the character. So I'm looking forward to it, definitely, and I'll tell you what I felt about it. But Comixology has She-Hulk first appearance and in Masterworks for the same price. Then they have quite a few of them in Marvel. So I was like, I'm gonna just get him because I have She-Hulks, so I'm okay with that. I have it actually collected, a whole volume of that. But I was like, oh, come on, it's the whole, like, I was thinking maybe an issue, but that's actually a whole Masterworks as a digital format. So I was like, okay, I have to. And it's basically, I'm blaming Twitter, because I see on Twitter, but they always talk about American. It's like, oh, bloody Americans, they always get a deal. But then I looked it up. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, it's okay. I blame them too early. It's okay in here as well. There's a sale in this part.
It's never too early to blame Americans.
Yeah, but like it's very annoying when you looked at in stock trace place where there was discounted books. It's like, oh my god! And another thing is
It's
not that
crazy looking at that.
Dead Man Omnibus. It's printed in Canada, but in Canada it's $130.
Yeah. Yeah.
You print in the country and you still slap Canadians for buying a fucking comic book where you got printed from. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, because it's got to go down to the States and then come back up to us, right?
Yeah. So it's costs, like
ship it out of the country and then ship it back. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. I'm telling you.
It's totally ridiculous.
Imagine there would be a deal. Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think that's my reading adventure for the couple of things.
It's not a bad reading adventure. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty stellar stuff.
I guess this is the most I've read so far, to be honest, since my child's birth. So I'm kind of like chuffed, especially when they're reading something which is entertaining and easy flowing and makes you excited about comic books. That's why I'm reading them.
Do you think that's because there's more of like a pattern now that your son is older? Like, are you finding more of a pattern of like prime times to read, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now I'll be more, hopefully, having more time because my husband is on holidays.
Yeah.
And also the COVID doesn't help either, because this country is getting on tougher lockdowns once again because we are getting strains. So anyway, doesn't matter. That story kind of thing. So hopefully I will have a chance more to read other things. Like that Ghost Rider is my next thing on the reading list. And of course JSA to finish that. So I'm as I say, I'm all over the place. I like DC and Marvel, I independent, get sample of that, go back again to DC or Marvel, because I like to go back to what it was before rather than reading the new stuff.
Yeah.
Even though I'm looking forward to read whatever I'm ordering for my comic boy, I'm ordering a new comic book, which I haven't done for a while. High Society Killers or something like that. Something new came out on Image #1. So I'm looking forward to get it. I don't know when I'm going to get it because post office is in shit in my country, in this part.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's bad all over. It's bad here too.
Yeah, exactly. They saying that like post office always have queues of people I've never seen. I mean, I've seen the queues, but not the extent of the queues are there. And poor people working there because they are backed up, like really backed up.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, what did you read?
What was I going to say to you? You said something that triggered something, but now I've forgotten. I'm sure it'll pop into my head though.
Okay.
Completely drawn a blank. Yeah. Anyway, it was something about the reading. I don't remember. Oh, I know what it was. I like the idea though of like jumping around because I've always done the same thing, and I think that's kind of in line with when you're reading the new issues, like when you're getting stuff every single week, you're reading a bunch of different titles. So I mean, jumping around is fine by me as well. That's exactly how I do it. Like, and the prime example of that is the one thing that I haven't read in the past couple of weeks is I haven't continued with Velvet, so I'm behind on, not behind, but I just haven't because I've been jumping around to other areas too, right? So
well, that's why I didn't mention the Velvet as well, because I haven't read either because I'm jumping. Like I got excited about this. As I said, Twitter is really bad because I get excited by like somebody says deal, my ears are open. Like what?
Yeah.
I wonder, what kind of format you're reading The Sandman? Are you reading singles? Are you having omnibuses? What kind of format? Or you have deluxes?
I seem to remember Gore might have those deluxe. I might be wrong about that, but I thought maybe he had those deluxe versions.
I have the Mike Carey's Lucifer, but not full run, which drives me absolutely bonkers because it's like quite a good chunk, but of course not chunk where you kind of start. It's like in the middle of it. Anyway.
So one of the things I did this week, like I read some stuff. I haven't read a ton because I've been kind of focused on a bunch of different things at once, as is my way. One of the things that I've been focused on recently, like I'm assuming that you saw all of the Marvel Disney Plus news and stuff, all of the shows and things that got announced and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I saw the like hefty amount. Oh, I don't have deluxes. Singles and trades. Oh, singles. Yeah. I like reading
He has
singles.
near the complete Lucifer run in trades, is what he's saying.
Uh-huh.
Oh, run and all the trades. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
So one of the things is like I was watching that, and I happened to tune into ETA Nick's video. He did a video where he was looking like 24 hours afterwards, looking at kind of what the market is and stuff, what the announcements have done. And one of the announcements was about the Thor villain going to be Gore the God Butcher by whatever that actor's name is. Here we are with names again. Who cares? The Batman guy. Christian Bale or whatever, right? So that he's going to be Gore the God Butcher. And apparently that book shot up in price. Literally like within the 24 hours, it shot up to like $500 for like a raw copy. So immediately I went upstairs and found Gore the God Butcher because I've got the issue. I've got the Thor #2. And all I started doing was like started counting dollars in my head right away. It's like, so what can I do with this? And I kind of asked his advice a little bit. And Nick was like, honestly, if you've got it, that's great. He's like, honestly, Terrence, just get it graded. Just get it graded. And then, and I'm like, well, I don't know what to do with it after that. He's like, has the trailer come out? I'm like, no, not yet. He's like, wait till the trailer comes out. The moment that the trailer drops, put that thing up and sell it. So I sent it in to get graded. So it's going to be graded next year. I'm hoping to get it kind of end of January, I probably won't get it till late February, early March.
Did you already send it?
I did, yeah. I sent it already. There's a guy in town. He's doing a deal. There's a couple of the Comic Addict guys in town. They do some CGC stuff, and this guy in particular, he also will. Part of the process is he'll give it a press for you as well. Although the copy that I had was incredibly high. It's a really, really nice, pristine copy, right? And my son and I read that series. We loved that series, like absolutely loved it. But I mean, it didn't take me half a second to go, fuck it, I'm selling it. You know what I mean? Like if I can cash in on a couple of these books to put towards a bigger book, like I'm absolutely going to do it. So, I mean, now my biggest thing is trying not to get ahead of myself. I sent in also, I had Planet Comics with the Dave Stevens image on the front too. The one that one goes for a couple of $100. So I sent both of those, and I'm getting both of those graded for the reason of just getting rid of them. Go ahead, yeah.
Look what people asking for the 9.8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, no, I haven't seen that yet. Yeah, I haven't looked in a few days. But I mean, that's the thing, right? Like with this crazy market, the way that it is, that's why I tune into Nick's videos every once in a while, just to get that idea of, because again, if it, it's kind of I'm gonna back up. I don't feel guilty about it whatsoever. If there's people that are gonna be, to my mind, like fucking crazy to pay this kind of money for one single comic book, man, I'm gonna cash in. Because then I started looking at how much would a low grade Strange Tales 110 be? You know what I mean? Like $1,500, $1,300. You know what I mean? Like get a low grade. If I could make enough where I could get a low grade first appearance of Doctor Strange. Dude, I would absolutely blend all of those books into one, have Doctor Strange 169 on the back burner, and just go to get a Strange Tales 110, I think, So that's kind of like the goal.
I show you why people want to slab the books. Because an unslabbed book costs like that much.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing. Like when he was showing the auctions, it was an unslabbed. There was a couple of unslabbed books that went for $500 American, and just raw copies of it. So
yeah.
So I mean, and that's also part of the gamble, right? Like, and so doing this, I was kind of in that mindset for a few days of just thinking about those kind of things, not necessarily pursuing it, but just kind of thinking about that world and seeing how easy it would be to get into that kind of speculator mindset. Because for a little bit there, once I realized I had the book and sent it out to get graded, it was kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like there was a little bit of fun to it of like, wow, that's kind of, it's like winning the lottery a little bit, right? Of like, holy shit, I can't believe it that something I bought is actually somebody else wants, you know what I mean? Because I'm just so used to being surrounded by this shit that, nobody gives a toss about for the most part. So it kind of sent me down a little bit of a path of, I could totally see how people follow all those announcements and really like just go to great lengths to get those books and then immediately get them graded and blah, blah, blah. It's no place that I want to go to by any stretch. But that said, sending those 2 books in, it was pretty much it didn't take me long to decide that. And again, because we've been selling a lot of stuff on Facebook, I just had the cash and just went for it. So when I sent it, because it's this guy, Ashley, in town here, potentially I shouldn't have said his name, but it's too late now. I was feeling comfortable saying people's real names just in case, right? But so he was the guy who had this was the gentleman who had the Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction. This one that had the first Richard Corbin story in it. So he had this copy. He also had 3 more of them he found in his bins, so I picked up. So now I got the first 4 of them. So I was flipping through those this week, and they're fantastic. And it's great to see the Corbin and just the idea of, because there's the story about when he was first approached by Stan Lee that was on Twitter that I kind of retweeted. The story of kind of really setting, this is what it's going to take for me to work for you. I'm going to own all the rights. I'm going to put it out on my own schedule. I want to do an anthology. The first couple will just be me, but then I'm going to bring on who I want. When it's done, you're going to deliver the art back to me. You won't get to own any of it. And he just had all of these kind of demands, which good for him. To which Stan Lee apparently wrote back. He's like, I really do respect you and I really do want to work with you in the future, but obviously we can't come to an agreement right now. And then it was cut to a couple of years later where they approached him to put in his Encounter at War story that him and Jan Sternad wrote and did together. That was in an issue of Anomaly and then reprinted elsewhere as well too. Anomaly number 3 and 4, I think. So they did this and put it in here. So, I mean, something that they already own the rights to, something, characters they created themselves, they had published already, which is a really smart move if you're going to kind of get in bed with these people. If they really want you, well, here's what we'll do. We're going to give you a story that we've already printed elsewhere. It's ours, and I'm sure they got a tidy sum for it, or maybe not, who knows. And then he got his kind of work exposed in Marvel, which is great. So, I mean, it was one of those things that even though I had the story, it just really was something that I wanted after all this unfortunate Corbin news. It's just something that I really wanted in the collection. But then looking through the rest of the book, I mean, there's some phenomenal work in here too, right? Where's my camera? My camera's over there. Like, it's just another fantastic anthology. Who do we have here? Let's just go to that first page. Adding Gonzalez, script Jerry Conway, and then adapted from the story by Robert Silverberg. So, I mean, again, a few artists that I just don't know their names. But that's the greatest thing. I mean, and that black and white again on that newsprint just looks beautiful, right? So nice to have a few copies of that. I think there's only 6 copies total, 6 issues rather, of this Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction. So that was a nice little set of books to look through. A couple of other things that I've been doing, not kind of comic related, sort of. I got this in the mail, a magazine, War Game, Nez Perce, 1877. So I've started reading into that. And I started reading it and then had a moment of like, why the fuck do I want to play this game? And now I've kind of turned the corner again because I finished reading just today, actually. I finished reading Tim Truman's Tecumseh. And it's a really, really phenomenal piece of work. Like, this Alan W. Eckerts wrote it, and apparently he did a lot of really good historical books on Indigenous peoples, and kind of the wars that had happened, and kind of really takes a hard look at the history, and kind of breaks away from the whitewashing of the history and how these people, these human beings, were treated, and kind of. Tim Truman talks about it a little bit at the back about just tackling this character, and he kind of talks about it as why these why these individuals aren't held up as heroes of our history is beyond me, because these are really heroic characters who were really fighting for something. You know, he went a long way to try to get all of the out of their words, word I don't like using, but the Indian tribes together to kind of battle the white people, right? To fight to fight alongside each other against, you know, the white devil, I guess, right? So just a really, really good take on history. And I mean, really presented nicely, really nice bite-sized chunks. And I mean, Truman's art is just fantastic. And it really transitions, even going backwards through the book, it really transitions from the beginning where it's much lighter and a little bit cleaner style. And then when we get into the shit later on, it really changes, you know, like you're getting a lot of different imagery. You're getting a lot of darker colors. Even the color of the paper on a couple of them. I think I showed the page already, but it's worth repeating. Yeah, of course I can't find it. Yeah, here we go. So the backgrounds, it's all of a sudden like it was printed on kind of brown or tan paper, or sorry, painted on brown or tan paper. So it's not that real crisp white background when they're kind of talking about going to war and what they're going to do and how they're going to fight, you know. Really, really good. I'm really loving it. And I started in, right after that, I started in on his Wilderness, so the part 1 of the history of Simon Gertie. So, and that's a pretty nice read so far too. Same kind of thing. This one is black and white though.
Oh, I see.
And again, like his style is just, I absolutely love his style. It's really, really nice. And the way those panels are broken down there for stuff like this, I think is a really nice use of a page, right? So it's exciting.
Tim Truman did some Hawk World comic book I wouldn't mind reading, but I've never found it yet. Yeah. Yeah,
I have them. I haven't read them, but they're supposed to be phenomenal. And I think we've talked about it before too. He did what's the Western character? Jonah Hex. He did a couple of Jonah Hex miniseries as well too.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, I mean,
it's great stuff, man.
Even black and white, it looks stunning, to be honest.
Totally does. And at the beginning, he goes into great detail. Like he spends a few pages at the beginning talking about how the story came about for him, why he wanted to tackle it, and the amount of research that he did. Even talking, in his kind of thanks, he's thanking people who are experts in weapons so he could kind of pick their brain, because he wanted to. He said one of the things that pulls him out of a movie is a costume not being of the time period, or a tool that they're using not being of the time period. So the amount of research that he did on the clothing, what people would have been wearing, what their weapons would have looked like this is the whole page of thanks here for everybody and what they did for him. And then talking about going to meet with Alan Eckertz to talk about the history and pick his brain to really present this character. And then even in the picture, you get a couple of like sketches and things too.
That's nice.
So the amount of work, and then just kind of his bibliography, all of his stuff that he's referenced, even films and other comics where this history has been tackled. So yeah. And then there's your opening pages of the story, which is just great. So I'm loving it. I think that's going to be a killer read. And I think like, I'm just right in the mindset, because I've been playing these games dealing with kind of that time in history. I'm just right in that mindset. So I think this stuff is really working for me to give me a bigger picture of it. And I mean, like I said, it kind of helped me turn the corner in why I want to play the game, because I think it's just important stuff to kind of dig into. It's an important part of the history to dig into, as uncomfortable and horrible as it is. I think it's really, I don't know. I mean, for myself personally, and then eventually, you know, play some of the stuff with my son as well too. Hello. What do you got there?
I haven't been in the fridge yet.
Okay.
We just made them. I put the coconut stuff.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Wow, very nice. Did you make your cookies too? Do you want to come and say hello?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're going to do it tomorrow.
Careful.
We're going to do it tomorrow.
You're going to do it tomorrow? Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Here, you want to hear? There you go. Take one of the earbuds there. Yeah, so I think like all of that stuff is exciting to me, right? Like it just kind of makes me realize how much I want to dig into it and just give you that perspective. And of course, like when I'm playing games like this, I'm going to be playing from the indigenous people's view, right? So like I'm going to be trying to get as many of the white people as possible and get the heck out of there. Because that magazine game is literally about crossing the border to Canada with as many people as you can to kind of run to freedom, you know. And even reading some of that history, the amount of indigenous people that were killed were a lot less than the amount of white people that were actually killed. So I mean, there's that side of thing, but it just puts things in such perspective. And like I was saying on Twitter, the fact that 1877 isn't that long ago, you know what I mean? Like it's really, in the grand scheme of things, that's just yesterday. You know, it's really not that long ago. So it really just kind of puts me in a mood, definitely. But it's cool though, and having all this other kind of stuff around. I started digging into Manitoba history as well too, and I'm going to get some books on Monday from our library. I'm just talking about the same kind of things, like the settlements here in Manitoba and how that came to be, and that kind of survival mode of the kind of harsher climate that was here, that people that were coming here weren't used to and weren't really told to expect either, right? So all of that stuff is kind of giving this a little more life. So I'd say that those were pretty good highlight of reads. Did you want to say anything? No, you're chilling out and looking, yeah? Okay. What else did I read this week?
Do you have the second volume of that Wilderness as well?
I do. I'll show you right here. Okay, thanks for the treats.
Can you show those treats, Terrence?
I can show those treats, yeah.
It sounds... Oh, look at that.
The coconut.
Nice.
Yeah, and some chocolate.
Did the coconut.
She did the coconut. She wants you to know she did the coconut. And some
Very
chocolate.
Good job. Well done. Well done.
Very good job. And then volume 2 is here.
Oh, you do have them. I see.
Yeah, and again, these were kind of like, it's Four Winds, which was his company, and then they were distributed through Eclipse. So these were a couple of the books that I traded for recently with that guy in town here. He had some Four Winds stuff, so I grabbed what I could. Apparently, there was a signed and numbered editions that came out too, but and same thing, you know, just that same beautiful black and white. I don't know how long he had been working on these. I don't know if this was a few year. He seems to say in the first one, I think he talks about at least a year or two where he drove his family crazy talking about Simon Gertie.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. Jesus.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. And like I said, his style, and he even thanks he even gives a shout out to like Jack Jackson as well too, who's done a lot of historical stuff too that I've read that I love. So I mean that's been great to kind of, and I think I'll probably dig into the Jackson stuff again. And then one of the other things, not comic related, but just a quick shout out about this my world of crazy noise music. So this came out in 2010, and it was only one issue, and it's like, geez, I don't know, 200 pages? No, 156. So 160-ish pages. So I've been kind of reading an article or two a day. Really, really interesting stuff just about the genre, and interviews with people, and people talking about like the history of this form of music and where it started and early albums that influenced people. Really great stuff, you know, lots of text, lots of old ads, and just lots of, I think there's like 30 pages of album reviews in here as well too, which is kind of nice. So that's been a real fun thing to dig into.
Hey, Paolo.
Hello,
Nice
Paolo. How are you? Oh, hello.
You okay?
You what? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Lily wants to show us something. Hold on one sec. Oh. Did it come off? That's okay.
No, I'll fix
Yeah.
it.
Okay. We'll wait. You can show us in a minute.
You keep talking.
Yeah.
And one thing I started reading today. These I
Ooh.
picked up yesterday. Vlad the Impaler Dracula, 3-issue from Topps. I only have the first 2. Beautiful.
The Topps were doing comic books before.
Yeah. So apparently there was polybag versions as well too that came with trading cards and all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Esteban Morado has like the pages are gorgeous. They're really, really
Ooh.
gorgeous. Some
really
really
cool.
beautiful stuff. There was
It's
one
90.
page
This is
here.
90s, yes? I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's gotta be, right?
Yeah, because tops is
Yeah,
19.
1993.
Yeah. Because the color, you see the coloring in the comic book, you can recognize right away that richer, more rich, like because the paper changed, you know, in a way.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Really cool.
panels up here are like this. I love the use of the color there and like no color on him except for red with that purple background and, you know, really, 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 really great. Definitely a darker story for sure, obviously. But
is it
phenomenally.
like a Law of Dracula, or what is it
Correct.
about?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so kind of how he became Vlad the Impaler or Dracula, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From his father. All right, Lil, you ready to show us? Okay.
What she has?
I made a gem bracelet.
Wow.
Very nice, eh?
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. And where did you get the gems from?
From my friend Una.
Nice.
Came in a big basket.
Yeah, you got a present from her, right? Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna fall out of your ear. There you go.
It was from my birthday.
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
That's right. Yeah.
That's very good.
Very nice.
A very good present.
Yeah. And then they spent a couple hours hanging out, having a chat and building stuff together or making stuff together, right?
I made 2 necklaces, 6 bracelets, 3 rings.
Wow.
Wow, you were busy.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And my friend did 3.
Nice.
Oh, so you much quicker, huh?
Yeah, much quicker. Yeah. Much more focused.
Yeah. I like craft.
Nice, that's
yeah.
Oh yeah,
nice.
We love crafts here.
Yeah, nice to create something.
See, Gore says it's very nice, Lily. And so does Paolo. Paolo says that looks beautiful.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. That's awesome. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for showing and sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thing back. I don't know how they fit you.
Well, they just fit right in my ear. It's because my ears are bigger than yours. Yeah. I'm a little bigger. Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of the stuff I've been reading. I feel like that there was more, but it doesn't seem to be around here. Oh, except for it was here somewhere. Maybe it's here. Oh, I don't know. Somewhere. I had my new poll and stuff, which had Batman and had the last issue of Mountainhead, which was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what I did with them. I had a pile here, but it's disappeared. It was a 5-issue miniseries, and it took a long time for it to come out. And then the pandemic hit, and they had a couple issues left to go, and they weren't sure if they were actually going to publish them or what was going to happen. And I think it was their first series as creators. So, and it was a really, really great read. The ending maybe wasn't as strong as it could have been, but considering, oh, here it is. It's all down here. Considering the story itself was just kind of really bizarre to begin with, I thought they did a pretty good job of wrapping it up. So it's just kind of like these spirits that are affecting people when they go and visit the mountains, and they come back all deformed, and it's almost like this style of it's almost like he's got a graffiti-ish type of background, the way that he breaks up the panels on the page and just the figures themselves. Everybody's kind of misshapen, especially when you get to see the more demonic type of creatures.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find a good, like a layout like this. I thought was really great. They fall down this hole, and just the use of the panels there, I thought was pretty nice. It was a nice little touch. So yeah, it was a good series. I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys do next. I think they have they're going to do a collected version as well too. I think it was successful enough that they're going to do that. So that was a great read. And honestly, digging into, sorry, did you have something to say?
No, go on. You continue. I'll add after. Go
on. Digging into Batman Adventures. So this one I've talked about before. We talked about Batman Adventures a million times. I absolutely love it. This one was such an amazingly fun issue. I don't know how long I'm going to go with these because it's reprints, and I've got a lot of these, but I want to get them anyway because there's a few early ones that I've missed. Most notably, like the first appearance of Harley Quinn and stuff, right? So I'm hoping that they do reprints of that as well, and I can kind of at least get to see the story. This one was so fun, and one of the things that was most fun was almost the slapstick element to it, to a couple of panels, and just that character design. I sat with the original as well and just kind of looked at them back to back. They do a fantastic job of recoloring them. They look really good side by side. It doesn't look out of place. And you're getting some really like cartoony elements. It's a Killer Croc story, and Killer Croc is a wrestler. So he's going up against these wrestlers who every time he goes up against a new wrestler, they just get the shit scared out of him, obviously, because they know what's coming. Sorry, go ahead.
Terrence, it came out with reprint of the Harley Quinn first appearance. It wasn't a $1 issue. It came out.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you have a look, if you can find it, if you don't, let me know. I'll send it to you because I have that.
Okay, cool. $1 one. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a reprint. Like I have, to be honest, I have the actual appearance of Harley Quinn, which I'm not gonna send it to you, unfortunately, because that's mine. I do like Harley Quinn when she's appeared in that because of the way what costume she's wearing. Now I'm not very interested in her anymore because of we're taking her like to another level anyway. But I bought that reprint just for reading matter, like because like you don't want to kind of like you're being a bit more precious. So if you don't have that and if you can't find it, just let me know. I'll send it to you your way.
That would be awesome. I'll absolutely let you know. I'll keep a lookout. I didn't realize that it came out. So I mean, which makes sense though. I mean, it seems like both companies have done that a lot with kind of their bigger books, right? Their first appearances and the prestige format, whatever else, right? Like.
The problem with them as well, that those reprints, especially first appearances for $1, when you buy it, it's $1. But then people are taking a piss and they charge you like £7 now for like issue. Stupid. It pisses me off, but that's what we're talking about, that business of making money from anything. So people are trying to make money from that anyway. So
well, and that's the thing, right? Like if nobody paid that, they wouldn't be worth that. But I mean, unfortunately, people are paying those prices for that stuff, and that's the part that puzzles me, especially when it comes to modern comics. Like that was one of the things that surprised me the most about when that Thor shot up that much. That's not an old comic. That's within the last number of years. It's a killer storyline. It's a really, really good Jason Aaron run from beginning to end. I absolutely loved it. But I mean, the idea that a modern comic is going to fetch that kind of price just based on a movie, that's, I don't know, man. I don't claim to understand it whatsoever, but motherfucker, I'm going to cash in on that shit. If someone wants to pay it, give me your money. I will gladly take it and buy a whole bunch of dirty comics.
Now you're mentioning it's actually kind of like because I have that, I think, if I didn't sell it, because I do sell my stuff like left and center most of the time, but I don't think I have, because I remember enjoying that story a lot. So if I did enjoy that story so much, I probably haven't told it, but now you're talking about this. But another thing is, okay, for you, Canada is not that. I mean, I know shipping, all that bullshit, but for me now, especially pandemic hitting so hard, like crossing the comic book, crossing through the pond just to get them, and I know that CGC, as always, probably packed up to the brim of the brim of the brim, because everybody bloody sends them to do that. But I was like, I don't know if I want to do it, but I mean, your way of thinking. Yeah, but your way of thinking is actually absolute understanding, especially you have to, like, if you can, of course, you have to And another thing is we haven't mentioned that the villain's first appearance doesn't last for the price what it goes.
Right.
The minute it gets announced, everybody goes, "Oh shit!" Like we can actually cash in. But then the minute it finishes, it's usually the comic just like. So you have to catch the wave, like ETA Nick says all the time. Of course, the man is clever. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's been doing that quite a while. So, yeah, good
well, that's
person
exactly
to
why
listen
I
to.
just picked his brain about it. Because I happened to catch the tail end of the video, and he was nice enough to extend the video for me and go, okay, well, since you're here, let's talk about it. And just that advice, because you're absolutely right. And he said the exact same thing, that we all know what happens with villains; they don't last. So when that trailer hits, you sell that thing. Like, don't wait, don't do anything. It's not going to get any better than that moment. That is the moment where you put that thing up and you sell it, for as much as you can get. And then that'll be my next thing, because I've sold some stuff on eBay, but I don't have an extensive selling history with like selling graded comics, that sort of thing. So then in my mind, it's like, well, how do I sell it then? And I'm assuming I'm just going to go for a buy it now instead of an auction, because the last thing I would want to do is put it up for an auction and it doesn't go as high as I think. You know what I mean? Like that'll be the thing that I'll deal with when the trailer hits, which is like next year, I think. You know what I mean?
You can also cap your as far you can't. There's on eBay. There's a way to cap your price. So if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, you don't have to sell it.
Yeah. So which isn't a bad idea either. Like a minimum kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you think whatever you want to get it from, you can set that amount, and if it doesn't reach it, you don't sell it, basically. So you are safe in a way. But as Nick always does it, he does Comic Link, is those websites where they actually do the job for you, but then they take commission out of that. So don't forget the number 4. So there's a lot of things.
That's the thing too, right? Like the commission and what it is at eBay and that sort of thing. And my thinking is that I'm going to be flipping this money right again back on eBay, because I mean, as I do every month or so, I just kind of have a look to see what a few key books that I want eventually, what they're going, what the prices are going for, just to kind of get an idea over a longer period of time. But so, I mean, I just know that money's going to come into PayPal. It's going to go straight out and I'm going to grab something, and the other good thing is the few books that I do want, there's always quite a few buy it nows. There's auctions for sure, but even for Strange Tales 110, there was a number of them that were just at a buy it now price, which I mean seemed like a lot of money to me, but if it's money that I'm getting that's not really sort of my money, you know what I mean? Like it makes a difference, right? If I'm selling something and all of a sudden I got $1,000 for it, that $1,000 I'll gladly pass that on.
Well, another thing eBay does, usually the sellers offer you the time when they don't take out a lot of chunk of the money, but I guess it depends how much you get for it. I mean, it's always a clause and everything like that, but like, of course you can do research, and that's another thing. It's like selling it, you start to learn stuff like you don't know, because people who knows, especially there's like like all sorts of like stories you can tell about eBay, how you need to sell it, when to sell it, what to do in that sense. But anyway, any money you would get, whatever you spend, you're already winning on that. Don't forget.
Totally. Well, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Just getting your expenses, like let's say, paid for whatever you have done, and then a little bit more reward, that's already money. Of course, you start becoming a bit greedy, because knowing what people can get. And that's the whole thing in the story of selling your comic books and when to sell it. If you're going to come out to that point of that money, like the dream money you think like you're going to get for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not always that happens. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting to get into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But especially in America, it's much easier to do so as well. Or if you know somebody who's dealing in that CGC kind of stuff all the time, like you have a friend. I, for example, don't have friends who come and grade my comic books, so I can send somebody somewhere. But if you haven't, you are knowing somebody who actually does that. That gives you a plus, and like it's less chance of making a mistake, because there's lots of things you have to make it in order to sell to send those things to them, then insure it. Oh, it's just I looked it up. I was like, after watching a couple of videos, ETA Nix, I was like, okay, let's just go into a dabble something in that. It's crazy as the amount of work you have to do for that payoff.
Totally.
it's like, oof, it's like an almost full day of work, kind of thing, before
Well,
you
I mean,
actually get.
even just the
If you,
basics of getting an account, right? Like you've got to become a member
yeah,
of CGC, right?
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
forget about it. So I'd much rather piggyback. So I mean, and kind of going back to what you said about the price, like I paid cover
Yeah.
price for the comic itself, and then this guy, I paid him $60 Canadian, so that covers the pressing that he's going to do. It covers the submission, and it covers the shipping because it's a big group order. So $60 Canadian plus whatever it was. Let's say $5 or $6 Canadian. So being generous, let's say $70 Canadian is what I've invested in this one book. So even if I can get like $200 out of it, you know what I mean? I'm going to be winning. So even if like it is right now, even if it's $500, I'm going to be winning as long as I make that $70 back. Well, I lie. As long as I make more than that $70 back, I'm going to be good. Even if that turns out to be $100, because who knows? And that's also part of the gamble, right? Like the whole kind of thing could just shit the bed, and people could just all of a sudden wake up and go, I'm not paying that for a goddamn comic. And all of a sudden it's worthless and I can't even sell it for $5. And if that's the case, well, then lesson learned. But I do have a feeling that, I mean, I think it's going to be okay. I'm just trying to keep reasonable about it is in my mind.
The thing is with the God Butcher, it's not only that he is already, okay, let's announce the movie and sell that, but he's still in active duty in Marvel. Do you know what I mean? Donny Cates is using him in a lot of stories, apparently. He has used him. So the people's interest in the characters is already there. So that hype is probably going to keep up. Do you know what I mean? Because he's still active. It's not like the character from the 70s or 60s who we like has the vast history. It's still ongoing history. So there's that kind of thing going for the character as well, because of the lore is continuously going fresh with stories and stuff. And it depends, of course, how the movie, what's kind of like Nick says, the trailer, if that trailer going to be exciting enough for people to get even more excited about the God Butcher. If they do that, if they do anything what Essa the Ribbit did in that story, Jesus Christ, that's going to be anything what they saw you see in the comic book. I mean, I can't even, like, it's the same thing where we hoped for, like in Doctor Strange with the other villains and stuff, Dormammu. You know, the way they show that, I was like, oh my God. You know, like, geez, that's actually like a comic. So
well, and that's the thing. Like that run is a pretty dark run, you know, and especially coming off the heels of the last Thor movie. The last Thor movie was colorful and like it was fun. So I'm surprised that they're going this way.
Well, the thing is, I guess this villain itself is kind of like you can go with him quite far to take to the story. You know, like it depends where they want to touch it, how they're gonna create him to come into the fruition. It depends which story we're gonna pick as well. But whatever it's been written in that story by Jason Aaron, where it was like measurable, but compelling in a way, because what he was doing to anything, like any god. Do you know what I mean? So they could make the Thor universe to go away completely if they wanted to, because of the abilities of villain is. So I mean, even talking about
that's one of the things that excites me about like this new announcement for the Marvel stuff. Now that they've opened up the multiverse and now they've done that, like the potential, you know, the announcement that Kang is going to be a character in a future movie and stuff, like all of that is super exciting to me. But just that idea of what that next Doctor Strange movie could possibly be, and you know, the WandaVision show, what that kind of looks like it's going to be. The what they're doing with Loki on the show looks pretty interesting as well too, based on that trailer. It really feels like there's a whole world now for them to play and just really get wild, which is exciting for me, because it's kind of like the Elseworlds DC stories. Fuck the continuity. We now have a multiverse that we can just mess with, and we can tell a whole bunch of crazy stories. So I mean, that excites the hell out of me, that maybe this little phase of the, you know, it's all going to it'll all close up nicely at the end and everything will go back to normal. But while they get to play with this, while these characters are realizing, because I'm assuming WandaVision, part of the trailer is they don't seem to understand what's going on with them. And I'm assuming there's going to be multiple dimensions and all these kind of things coming into play. So while the characters are realizing what's going on with them, there's going to be so much fun I think they can have. I mean, you know, it's been a year without a Marvel thing, right? Like, and I realized after watching that announcement, pardon me, I'm jonesing for some Marvel stuff. You know, we love going to see those movies. We love that stuff, right? Like, we went as a family. You know, Lillian came to only one of them with us, the Spider-Verse one, but we love going to see that stuff, and it's really become part of our year. This kind of looking forward to these blockbusters that we just missed this year, right? So I'm excited about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't watched many trailers. I don't tend to anymore because I hate the amount of information they provide. Most of the time, it's almost to the point of way too much information. But because I've read the one Tom King book I liked, it's based on Wonder and Vision. And it was actually not Wonder and Vision. It was about Vision entirely. What I'm talking about.
Just the Vision,
anyway, it was Vision and his family, and that part of that kind of like pretend like very robotic like entities who has their own feelings and have babies and all that stuff, and then you have the dark side behind them, and becomes like weird and quirky storyline, which is really well told, and it's kind of like bizarre in a sense. But what they were showing for Wonder and Vision in like whatever I've seen snippets of it, seems to be they're going in that kind of sense of as well. Like as I said to you about another comic book like Lady Killer, is that kind of sense of the time where she looks exactly like 1950s, that those dresses, that dress up and stuff like that in ghetto, and then suddenly, and you feel that multiverse what you're talking about shifting and what they're gonna end up wearing, and the costume of which Vision they having actually from 19 whatever the 60s his first appearances is, which is looked absolutely shit, but it looked exactly how comic did, which is I wonder what they're gonna get to that point as well. And Paulo first to say,
one movie at the cinema in the last 10 years. I'm currently watching only one TV series and neither comic book related. Yeah, I hear that, and I mean, I'm a big. To me, the best comic book movie is still the 1968 animated Asterix and Cleopatra. Wow, I haven't seen that. That's something that I'll be looking up. Paulo, you've done it again. Every time you show up, there's a new gem that you force me to look into, which is fantastic. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's what I love. Like, there's all this kind of debate about everybody's worried about, you know, the Scorsese of the world, and all these fucking people are worried about like, oh my God, the cinema is going to go away. It's like, no, it's not. There's always going to be potential. It's just going to change. You know what I mean? And it has been changing for a while. Like, when I go to the cinema, I go there because I want to see a blockbuster. I know what I'm going for. I want to see shit blow up. I want to see special effects. That's what I'm there for. Everybody's home, like our home theater is perfectly fine. We've got a pretty sizable TV. I've hooked it up through the stereo so we can listen on our nice speakers. It's, you know, it's maybe not what's classically happened, but people have to get over what's classically happened. That's not the fucking world anymore. You know what I mean? It's just not. I love Scorsese to death. I think his movies are brilliant. I really like the guy, but he's out to fucking lunch sometimes with these comments. It's a changing world. It's just a reality. Blockbuster theaters are roller coasters, and you just have to get used to that because that's what they're set up for. There's 3D, there's popcorn, there's seats that move and interact with the movie. Like, all of these things are just a reality. So, and I love that kind of stuff. It's exactly what I want to go for.
Listen, Terrence, they just need to bring back drive-through cinema. You know, you in your bloody car. God. Yeah. You sit down, you close those windows, no breathing air of anybody else next to you, and you just watch the bloody movie. You know what I mean? I
we have one here in Manitoba. It doesn't play stuff all the time. It's pretty rare that it plays stuff, but I agree with you. Drive-thrus were incredible. Yeah.
I honestly have never experienced one. I had one under the skies cinema. I've experienced, like, you know, like people with projectors and stuff like that in the beer garden, kind of like that kind of sense to it. But my husband, for example, in South Africa, they had it, and he still remembers that. That's because of the experience you gain, and like somebody comes in to serve you for your, you know, like your whatever your fast food you want to have in that time and stuff. But he said, like, why people are doing it now is perfect time. You know, you can't be in enclosed area, so open up, bloody hell. You know, you have your big screen and just do this again. And another thing I was saying to my husband, well, if you don't want to do drive-through, I think because now these days, because technology is going so quick with televisions and all this massive stuff, the projectors you can buy it for yourself for use, it's actually getting cheaper to acquire for better quality. I was like thinking, of course you have to be able to have space and stuff like that, but who doesn't have a white curtain to put it down and put your bloody projector up and just feel like you're in cinema again? Like even people are going to the point where I saw this video somewhere, have projector and they have this, like old school crackling sound from the projectors, like so they put that as the background sound, so just to have that feel, because they were watching Charlie Chaplin's movie, but it was like it wasn't like it didn't like it doesn't have sound that much, but it has the effects. But apparently I don't know what kind of thing they were watching, but it didn't have that. They specifically were showing on the phone like, we have a soundtrack for crackling, so to make sure that everything is authentic.
Amazing.
So people are going to that lengths, just to enjoy themselves, to do that kind of stuff. So as I say, there's ways you can find the way to get that cinema going back. And I think if you have this kind of pandemic, drive-through is another thing you can do. Because at the end of the day, like they say, you have your car, it's like your own pod. Just go and watch like that. If you can, of course. Would be great, though.
Yeah, no, totally. It would be great. I think it would be a great idea. Yeah. I mean, a friend of mine, he was doing something similar with projection. I think it was, I don't remember if it was this summer or the summer before, but he was, him and his wife were watching movies out in their back and projecting onto basically the side of their house, you know what I mean? And watching out in their backyard, which is another great way to do it, right? There's going to be technology that's going to meet those needs, right? So, either way, I can't wait to go see a fucking Marvel movie. That's all I want. I cannot wait to go and see a Marvel movie.
I am with you. I really enjoyed it. Me and my husband, we definitely did go as many we could. Of course, now we having a child, it's not going to be so easy anymore, because unfortunately, we don't have any like close members of the family. Where and then some friends, like it's kind of, you feel awkward for, hello, Damien. So kind of awkward to ask that stuff, but I was like, I'm really into that kind of projector stuff. So I was like already like getting my husband the ideas how you should get it, because we have a garden, like just project it one night, sit down, he can go sleep, and we can show at nighttime just watch the movie kind of thing. Of course, we live in England, so rain is another issue, but when it's nice and clear, let's just go like that kind of thing. So so anyway,
cool. I'm just going to show you a couple more things in this Batman. Damien, you just didn't have to see Batman. Again, this issue just read. Oh, hello. Oh my goodness. Hold on, we got Bling Central coming down here.
Okay. Wow. Oh my God, you actually have so many.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. This way. Necklace as well. Holy smokes.
Wow.
You are blinged up, buddy.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Wonderful.
Very
That's
nice.
really good.
She's saying it's beautiful. And they were saying in the chat earlier about you need to make a business out of these, so then you can sell them and buy candy without your parents knowing. Is what Paulo was saying. Yeah.
That's a good idea,
Good idea. I can see the wheels turn. Interesting. Showing up to school. Hey kids, you want to buy some jewelry? Showing up to sell our friends jewelry.
Yeah, instead of lemonade stand, you have your jewelry stand, huh?
That's right. Instead of a lemonade stand, a jewelry stand.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. It's good thinking. Okay, cool. Thanks, buddy. Oh, careful.
Crystal power.
Bye-bye.
I'm not all giving these just to me. I'm actually
No, I know. I understand. It's
giving them
good to.
actually to my friends.
Very nice. That's nice of you. Will I get one too, you think?
Yeah, you're getting a necklace.
Shush, really?
Yeah.
Super cool. I have it right now. Oh, my goodness. Okay, hold on, everybody. I'm sorry. Talk about that here. 1 second. I'm just going to take these headphones out. Damien says to buy candy for your parents. I think that's a wonderful idea, Damien.
Well, so you already treated with peanut butter and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. So buy comics for your parents. Gore Vidal's got it right. You hear that, Lil? So I mean, like I said,
What?
buy comics for your parents. That's what Gore Vidal says. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea. So I mean, again, like these wrestlers waiting to go up against Croc as he's practicing. I just love the expression on this guy's face.
Yeah.
Just looking absolutely terrified.
Just not
And then this as well, just extremely cartoony, and it was so much fun reading this one. Like, it's so incredibly fun. And then of course Croc goes up against this masked wrestler who he's fought in the past, and he's defeated Croc. He took the belt away from him. So and then him and Batman kind of end up helping each other to some degree in the story. But a really, really great issue. You know, it makes me want to sit down and not only watch the show again, but kind of read through this entire run, or what I have of it anyway. Like I said, I don't have everything, but it would be great to sit and read those again. It's a hell of a series.
How big is the run?
That's a damn good question. I don't know. I want to say at least like 50 issues or something, right? I feel like it's quite a bit. Do you have your CLZ?
Yeah, no, actually good idea. You should look at CLZ. Well, you could look because you have it.
I do.
Batman.
Paulo is saying I can incorporate her Julie into my Crack live performance costume. That's a great idea, Paulo. Yeah. I can put some bling on some of the costumes.
And
while you're go ahead.
Because you keep on bringing it up, and I loved watching cartoon, and that's basically what it is on the comic format. And it's like you're getting me wanting to read this as well. Okay, let's continue on animated series.
Damien, seriously, Damien is just saying that maybe this is the Batman he should be reading because he's getting kind of tired of mainline Batman. Yeah. Honestly, Damien, it's just so much fun. And again, like Rasa is just saying, I grew up on that show. I love that cartoon. I've read a bunch of these books with my son. I've watched the whole series with my son. I've started to watch some of the episodes again with Lillian. It's just I think they just nail the character and they nail the world so well. I'm just in love with it. So I sit and I read that, and it's just an absolute few minutes of bliss reading that book because it's just a one-off. The characters are great. The cartoony style of the book itself is phenomenal. And like I say, they do a really good job in reprinting it, which again, I wish I would have kept it out of the box. It's way up on the top shelf there, but they do a really nice job. The only thing that you don't see in the new one is you don't see the Ben-Day dots. Like, you don't see that. So they've smoothed out all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't kind of really brighten up the colors by any stretch. They don't, to my eye anyway, they don't change anything in it. They just kind of do a little bit of the cleanup. And I think it looks really, really great. And then the other Batman thing that I read that blew my fucking head off was this first issue of Batman Black and White. And again, this was a phenomenal read. This was so great because of similar kind of things. Like, it's a bunch of short stories. It's just a story. It doesn't have a tie into anything else. And it just exists. And it's Trad Moore doing the first story, doing the art in the first story.
Oh shit.
I love Trad Moore. I don't know how well Trad Moore's art works in black and white. It really feels like that it's just waiting for color. Like, it feels like his control of the black and white isn't kind of that classic style. It just feels like it's all the holding lines just waiting for the color to get put in afterwards. That said, it was still a really fun read. It's a Ra's al Ghul story, or Ra's al Ghul story, so it's one of his kind of hand ninjas, and kind of the idea that he puts into their heads that each one of you, your only mission is to just hit Batman just once. That's it. That's all you're here for. That's all you're created for. Your sole purpose is to punch him just once and land one punch. So it goes through with this kind of ninja fight. And he just wants to land one punch, and that's our main character throughout the whole thing. And it's a phenomenal read. It's a really, really great read. So I thought that it couldn't get any better. And then you're hit with J.H. Williams III doing a story. And his style was just gorgeous. And where Tradmore, his style doesn't, I don't believe necessarily, I still loved it. I don't believe it necessarily works for black and white as well. J.H. Williams' style works beautifully with black and white, especially when you're seeing a 2-page spread like this one, where he's not only still using that pearl motif there and the nice kind of shading in the pearls and stuff, but then referencing some classic kind of Batman stories, even to what I think is Snow from Legends of the Dark Knight, I believe. Just beautiful stuff, and a really nice story as well. Not a story that we haven't heard a million times. Yeah. But basically, you know, him reliving the sound of his mother's pearls hitting the ground that day. Solid story there. Paul Dini. This Paul Dini story was pretty great. It started off. I wasn't really thrilled with it. There's a man bats, so kind of like man bat ninjas, and I thought that seemed kind of silly. And it just kind of Batman with what he tries to do to help some of his villains, and again, kind of a throwback to the cartoon. There's a real emphasis on that in the cartoon, like he's trying to help Clayface, he's trying to help Mr. Freeze, he's trying to help these characters, right? Yeah. So in trying to help and kind of make these man bats, I'm going to spoil it. Is that okay?
Yeah, go. I'm okay.
Trying to get these man bats, he decides he's going to send them away to kind of work with a friend of his who turns out to be Swamp Thing. So Swamp Thing is taking control of the man bats, and kind of they fight alongside him to protect the rainforests and stuff. And he basically says, like, they still need a bit of work. We need to still work on the way that they attack people and the level of violence, but all in all, they're doing really good, and I'm really happy with them. Thanks very much. It was an amazing ending to it. And then Emma Rios. I'm literally just going to go through every page because I'm blown away by this issue. I'm so glad that it jumped onto my radar. This Emma Rios story didn't really do much for me, but her art, again, is just beautiful, from Pretty Deadly and a bunch of other stuff that she's done, but Pretty Deadly is what I know her from. Really gorgeous stuff. And again, it feels like this one is a little more on the Tradmore line, where it feels like it's just waiting for some color to creep in there. But I like this one. I like this one as well.
Daddy, it's snowing outside.
Is it really? That's amazing. And then finally, yeah, you can sit here. Yeah, for sure. The final one, Greg Smallwood. And that's not a name that I'm familiar with. Do you know that name?
Sounds familiar. Somehow.
Killer Croc story again. And this black and white work is beautiful. I really, as far as like the black and white stuff, I think this is my favorite because it almost has a nice soft texture to it, you know, throughout the whole thing. Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be a continuing series. They show in the back cover the next artists.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a sample of what's coming. But I've already added it to my pull list, which, you know, my pull list at this point has like 3 or 4 books on it. So I've added that one because I don't think I want to miss any more because that was a hell of a start. So highly recommended if you haven't picked it up.
Greg Smallwood has lots of art done for Image, DC, lots of covers. I'll give you an example. If you, that's one of his Punisher covers.
Yeah.
That's one of his stuff. Then I guess he done some Archie. He did Moon Knight. There you go. Lemire, Jeff Lemire.
Oh yeah, Jeff Lemire. Yeah.
Done really good story. So I think he's an artist on that one. Yeah. And look at that. Look at this, man. Oh, look, Daredevil.
Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's really nice.
So Batman Adventures had 36 issues. First volume.
36. Okay. Yeah, because then that's right. Then it went to what it did, Batman and Robin Adventures or something like that, and Gotham Adventures, I think.
Yeah. There's lots of going on there. It's like there's several volumes, but when you type in the CLZ Batman Adventures, there's Batman Adventures Volume 1. Then you have Batman Adventures Continues. but that's from this new ones. Then you have Reprints Classic, but afterwards Batman Adventures Mad Love and Batman Adventures Volume 2, which has 20 issues as well. So yeah, that's quite a few, huh?
Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
I just
That's
looked
a good chunk,
after.
and I'm sure it's been collected.
Yeah, I presume so. I already looked online to see somebody's already offering some. Yeah. See, Moonrise Run. I was right about that one. So.
Yeah. What else did I have in this stack here?
So the Batman Black and White. Tell me. So is this the new like recent release of DC?
Yeah, it just came out this week. So for at least that's what I understand. It's just literally just this past Wednesday is when it came out, and I don't know how it jumped onto my radar somewhere. Just kind of crept out of nowhere. And, immediately I just put it on as soon as I saw that. Oh, maybe it was following Tradmore. I don't remember, but it was because of Tradmore that I wanted to jump on it, and then it was just a nice surprise that the rest of the book was just phenomenal. You know, that I loved it as much as I did. And I think that kind of runs through for the next thing that I read this week, which was the issue 3 of this Norse mythology.
Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely love this book. This was such a fantastic story, and again, like there's something about the writing and just the stories themselves that just take this really nice idea and play with these characters. And you know, this one's going to continue into the next issue. It's again based on Loki. Really great. Just a really fun read, and too quick of a read. It's one of those books that as soon as I finish reading it, it always feels like I got ripped off. Like I need more pages, you know, like it should almost be double-sized issues each time, because that's how just easy it is to get into it and easy it is to read it. So this one is highly recommended. And then one that I know Damien reads as well too. And I'm curious to see what he thought of. This is The Killer We Live. Dude, that cover. This series has amazed me in one of the main ways that it's amazed me is the look of. I wish I had issue number 1 beside me to pull out the cover of issue number 1 versus what we're looking at here in issue number 3. The one thing that I'm not as crazy about and worries me mildly is how quick they're jumping through the stories in issue number 2 and issue number 3. It feels like issue number 1 was paced really, really well and gave you a lot of good insight. Then there was a kind of shift in issue number 2 and the story started picking up speed. So it feels like the first kind of half of this book could have easily been at least 1 full issue, maybe 2 issues to kind of really put us into that world of this character that we're seeing on the front cover. But it kind of wraps up pretty quickly and they move on to another part of the story. And it kind of has another, I think in this one, there was like 2 or 3 holy smokes moments for me where I just couldn't believe when I turned the page. And the one thing I did with this issue, which I haven't with the other one, is I used that code and checked it out, and it just links you to a YouTube channel, and there's a piece of music with a walk cycle of this image where they're just kind of walking and the background is changing. And the music was really nice, actually. It didn't fit. The music didn't fit with what happens in the second half of the story, but it was still really good. It's a beautifully drawn book. The story has me for the most part. I'm still really digging it. I just wish, I just hope that what we've seen in these last 2 issues aren't something that we see going forward, where it's this really quick chunks of giving you a tiny bit of the world. Because what everyone is doing is each story is kind of giving you another taste of what this world is that they now live in and what's going on and the level of things. It's well worth it, though, I would say. And I mean, that cover just is incredible. I love that cover. I remember seeing the preview in the previous issue. I'm excited about it. Go ahead, yeah.
I remember that I read 2 more different volumes as well, which I haven't talked about. I guess I read so many. I forgot what I've read. But no, you talk, you finish.
Oh yeah, no, that was pretty much it. Those were the only new ones that I read this week, and then it just gives us a preview of the next issue. The cover of the next issue. I'm really impressed. And Aftershock is one of those that I had a couple of things by them when they were first starting up. And it's one of those companies that I wish I would have supported more and tried out more of their titles, because I really like the few things that I have that I've read. I really enjoy their output. So I mean, it feels like it's one of those companies that I may just keep my eyes out for in the back issue bins and in dollar bins and stuff, and just pick up what I can of some of their previous titles. Just a lot of fun. So I mean, picking up, you know, the 4 books that I had, and then the one from last week, just sitting and reading those on Wednesday. It was just a really nice chunk of reading. They all just flowed really nicely. They were all really nice, complete stories for the most part.
Yeah.
That it, you know, again, it was that little window into, yeah, this is why Wednesday comics was always so much fun, right? Like, this is exactly why it's so great, you know. But
it does remind you of that. Okay, so I read a couple of this is Comixology original. It's called The Stone King, and I read because there's a Crook surname there. So it's Tyler Crook from the Harrow County.
Oh,
so he's done that, and it's MacDonald who's written the story. So Stone King is his first Eisner nominee, apparently, for Best Digital Comic as well, apparently. So this one, beware when the blood hits the stone, lest the red curse consumes you. So the story starts with this girl and the crazy big dog. I forgot the creature's name. I mean, like the species name kind of thing.
Oh,
and at the beginning couple of pages, of course, Silas Crook's art is absolutely amazing. Even though it says digital, but I think it did this in watercolor because it just looks like it is done in watercolor. The typical art he's doing, or you can see on YouTube as well, because he does some short videos of his art. So the story starts of this girl running towards this Stone King. This creature looks like almost like this. This is the creature. It almost looks like let's say the Groot, but it made in wood. Yeah, made in stone. Sorry. So she's jumping, and this crazy. He's giant basically, and she's using this dog to basically jump through. But it has this amazing property. So this moss is growing on his back. It has a like if you she gets hurt, she eats that moss, and the wound disappears completely. So you can heal yourself really quickly. And they come there to search, like basically harvest it. So it's really difficult to actually be able to jump on it, or get on top of that Stone King, because he's moving all the time, and he's usually become kind of difficult task to do. But she's like this fearless kid you see at the beginning, and then afterwards, when you go through the story, after a couple of pages, you start to find out what's happening. And she's an orphan who's been used for doing stealing stuff by like you have those typical stories of one person has like 10 kids in a household and use them as thieves, in this, and she finds this stone, and she doesn't know, because the blood touches the Stone King, and this crystal appears, and she doesn't know, like, oh my god, this is going to be worth a while. I'm going to go back, I'm going to give it to her, and she's going to basically let me do my own adventures, because her goal was always to have those adventures, because she's been kept to become like a thief all the time, and she wants to do something more greater, like she likes the adventure, she likes that like the sense of let's say like scary parts. Like she wants to go into the places where she shouldn't really do that. But fortunately, what she has, after doing that crystal, she takes that crystal, the Stone King appears into the realm of where they live, and you see this really great wall. It's almost like and there's anime this about giants. I'm not sure the name, of course.
Is it the Titan, the Attack on Titan thing?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So you have those great walls, and there's this like settlements inside. It's kind of similar to that vein. So he goes crashing in, and everybody has to escape. Accident happens, somebody dies, unfortunately, and then she has to basically decides to return that crystal she stole from the Stone King, in order to basically maybe hopefully get rid of that Stone King away from there where they live. And that's the story going on, and how the story ends. I'm not going to spoil it. It's actually really good story to read to anybody if you have any book and get hold of. And the art is as spectacular as always with Tyler Crook. His colors and everything he's doing himself, it looks exactly, has the same feel to the Harrow County in a way, like the same drawing style and stuff like that. So really good story, good ending. I can tell you this way, not to spoil anything else, because that kind of, this kind of story it's easy, first volume to read. I found this as a special for free. It was on offer. It's like, you just go and read it, please, kind of thing. So I did it. So it's well worth to read if somebody can find it and can get hold of it. Really good. Stone King is called. So yeah, and of course I really.
Great. It almost kind of reminds me of some of those early pages. It almost reminds me a little bit of Farrell Dalrymple a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, some really, really nice colors in there too. I love that.
That's the settlement inside.
Yeah.
So then you see like this things happening and stuff. So I have to say, and this dog creature, which just looks like hound kind of thing, it's only listens to her, and the way she calls him, they're like, "Hey, you, go that way." It's like okay, kind of, just that quirky side of the story, which is, as I say, really, like kids and orphanages, kind of gives you that kind of like a hard kind of story, like, like, oh my God, why are they doing that to the kids? But then, other things happens and stuff like that, and the thieving world and who she takes to the task to do the task I was talking to you about. Really good, as I say, really easy to read and fantastic to just read something different. And this is definitely something, and no wonder it was nominated, because it's, as I say, really good to
it looks
read.
cool. Yeah.
And the last thing I read, apparently, remember 100 Bullets. So this is the first volume of 100 Bullets. And
that's right. I forgot you were reading that. Yeah, you did say. Yeah.
So Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo. I have, as I said, some collected, but I never had the first kind of chunk, like the first 5 issues, which is what collects. And to be honest, of those 5 issues, my first story was the best, because with the that I told you about the feel of the wire. I don't know, it felt like that because of like Latinos was involved in this storyline, like maybe that's what felt like that. Also, the like bad coppers, good coppers kind of thing, and you have this suitcase where this guy comes in and offers you something, you don't know are you gonna take it or not because of what you have to do in order to achieve it. Also got me really kind of angry, the second story, where you have that guy who lost everything in the bar, and how he basically, because he had the same decision. So I don't know, should I say? I guess I can say this. This comic came out like a bloody long time ago now, to be honest.
Yeah.
So this gentleman with suitcase comes in and offers you something like that. You get the suitcase with 100 bullets inside. Those bullets aren't traceable. So you have, most of the people he's offering to, they have something basically badly happened to them, or some family members died, let's say, or somebody did something that you lost everything, like that second story I'm talking about. So and at the beginning, because I have a comic itself, I wasn't thinking that Eduardo Rizzo's art would be something I would enjoy, because
it's so good.
No, but but after reading and getting into the story, I was like, no way, this is actually absolutely perfect. This is exactly what I wouldn't want to see anything different, because if it would be a bit too clean cut, it wouldn't make kind of sense to me, especially the story Brian Azzarello was trying to tell. But the story of her, like, I really, really enjoyed. I guess because she's a female, of course, I do relate because I'm female, and stuff like that, and how she had to, and what she made, like what kind of decision she made at the end was very satisfying, because she didn't get to the point of using the gun and killing somebody. You know what I mean? She used the situation in such a right way, like really clever. Like, I'm not gonna get in trouble, I'm not going to use this, but I'm going to make sure that people get like she gets justice or reassurance kind of thing. And the second guy he lost everything because he got a kiddie pictures in his laptop, and somebody found out. Those people who found out searched it. He lost all his like 1-star, like 5-star restaurants. All his life was he lost his wife, kids, and everything because of that situation. And of course, he said he's not guilty. But what he made the decision, how he went to that office and talked to that lady who was basically, she's like, okay, look, I'm going to offer you this, like money, and you can sort your life out. I'm going to help your kids to go to university. And then she just basically talked his ear, and he's like, okay, I'll do it, kind of thing. And then she turns around and basically kills him. So instead of him using the gun towards her, she used it because of clever talk. And I was like, bloody hell, how? I guess she was so, she managed to convince him, and she's so confident in herself and how she was telling the story. He's completely like went into believing her. And the last story, or a couple of other stories, it wasn't as much good flavor for me as the first especially was. So I'm not sure what's going to be second volume or the story, like single issues I have, because but hopefully it will continue being as crazy, more crazy than anything else, to be honest. So
yeah,
story art is really good, really fantastic. The colors is good. In digital it's even more brighter. I was comparing couple of, even though they're not the same, but I was comparing with a paper one editions, and they were looking a bit more darker and less too kind of clear to see, because in here you can see basically, because that backlit light of the iPad really helps to brighten everything up and like bring the colors into fruition kind of stuff. And even the shadows doesn't look like really shadowy. It looks more like, like you can see better kind of thing.
See a little better, yeah. Have you read Moonshine by the same duo?
No.
Moonshine, I thought Moonshine suffered from, I haven't read the whole thing, but I have a bunch of the issues. I thought it suffered from some of that too, that there was parts where it was too dark. So 100 Bullets I read in trade paperback form, and I absolutely loved the series, and I'm not going to say anything more because I'm curious to see what you say next time we speak, but I love the series. And it was one of those series where I fully had intended to buy all the hardcover editions because I love it that much. I just never did. I had sold the paperback editions a long time ago because, again, I'd found one of the hardcovers for pretty cheap, I think like $10 or something, and I wanted to get that version of them instead, and I just never finished it off. But I love that whole run.
Oh, this story about the female going into a police headquarters and saying I murdered somebody, and she has she has a son who's like crazy because of somebody who did it something. The doctor did it to him, and he's now unable to take care of himself. I was like, oh my god! It went like, like sometimes the subject, like sometimes you feel like, oh my god, do I want to go to that kind of reading moment where there's sometimes you feel uncomfortable. Not because of like something else, but just like it's the way you're storytelling. But as I say, art-wise, it's definitely great. And I wasn't
for sure it is.
At the beginning. I definitely wasn't sold for it. So I guess in saying that, I was reading a lot, even forgot what I've read, kind of, because while you were talking to me, it's like, shit, I've definitely read some more stuff. It's like something in the back of my head was like crying, like, oh, say what you had just read, kind of thing. But because
sorry, go on.
It was exciting to read as 100 Bullets because I know I have some, and I know you would, because every single time I remember I mentioned it, you were saying that how much you enjoyed it. So
so good. One of the things I forgot to show was this that I picked up from the dollar buck or two Comic Addicts, Moon Knight #1.
What, you got that for $1?
$2 I think I paid for it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then #2.
That's a steal.
And then number 9, I think. So I'm excited. And what I guess I didn't fully I probably did realize, but I didn't until I opened this one up. Was that's #2. Was that Sienkiewicz right off the hop, right? And I know that we'd spoken about it before. And once I saw that, it jogged my memory. But I mean, it was one of those things really nice to see his name right from issue #1. So I haven't sat and read this yet, but I'm very excited to, you know, and again, it's kind of in line with those characters we were talking about earlier, like the Dead Mans of the world and the Spectres and those kind of like, you know, magical or mystical characters. He's just another one in that kind of wheelhouse, even though that's not necessarily his exactly what he is. I'm really looking forward to it. And to get it at such a good price too. Like I fully expected I wouldn't get it, but it just turns out it worked out. So.
Well, look at the price on eBay for the CGC version of your. Did you see? It's crazy.
I haven't seen, but I imagine it's not cheap.
£160 for issue 1 for CGC 9.6.
Yeah.
So
no, it's crazy. The way that they go, it's really insane.
Yeah, I'm not
the last thing I wanted to show you before I have to wrap it up. One thing that I think I've had for a couple of weeks and we never talked about. Some local Winnipeg comics in like mini comic form.
That's cool.
Yeah, this guy here. Oh geez, I'm gonna be bad. Matthew Dick is his name. He did a comic called Winterpeg. And he's got an amazing style. I've got that. I've also got a print that I bought from him as well that's hanging up in my office. But he has one now, a series called Toba. We're in Manitoba, so this is about like the Manitoba of the future. Nice. And it's a real kind of, you know, he's got a love for like Richard Corbin. He's got a love for like Heavy Metal magazine. He's got a love for all this kind of stuff. But he's got this kind of really nice, clean style. Really, really great. So these are fantastic. They showed up at a local shop. He had a handful of copies of. They only have the 2 issues so far, but that's a really nice little Winnipeg anthology.
You should send me one.
I will. I'll send you one for sure. Yeah, there's more around. I've seen them in a number of places. Yeah. It is. Yeah. And then there's an artist here that I've never heard of before, and his style is pretty great too. A wordless comic. And I want to say his name is Eric, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know what it is, but the mini comic books makes me like those kind of like not full format comic book, but like mini. It's like makes me excited. It's like really good. My God, look at that.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
It's really nice. Yeah, like I was pleasantly surprised. It's really nice stuff.
Exactly.
And it's just nice having a nice little crew of these comic book artists. Helly Schumann is another one, and I've bought a print and one of her early books. She's not in that issue. She's in this one, and she does almost like these pinups of characters. And she's a really great woman too. She's really, really nice. When I bought the print and stuff from her, she delivered it to our house. This was years ago now. And she was just so excited. She was glad to come over and, you know, ended up chatting with her for a little bit. And, you know, she's just a really cool artist.
When you pour your blood, sweat, and tears into work, and somebody's actually acknowledging, you get so excited because when you start selling something, you created it, and somebody actually wants it, you go like, "Oh my God, somebody actually do that! Why would you buy it?" Kind of thing.
Yeah,
Those insecurities comes in fruition, and you're like, "Oh my God, somebody's actually buying my stuff." So I completely get it. I completely get it. Somebody buys from my stuff, like whatever I do, like, oh my God, you actually want my stuff? Like, yeah, like actually gonna. It's like, what kind of thing.
And I mean, I think like the thing that's also exciting about it is like Winnipeg has a pretty good history of comics, whether that's Digital Chameleon was the coloring house that was here. We were doing distribution through like Styx Comics and Comic World for comics across Canada and stuff like that. Like there's a history of it here, and there's just not as much of a history of a ton of creators. There is some creators here for sure, and there classically has been, and some of them are still around. You know what I mean? Like Freeman, George Freeman, like he's from here. You know, Captain Canuck and stuff. Yeah. But I mean, it's nice to see that there's still a new generation of them. There's still a new generation of them that are still putting together some really great work. And I guess some of the stuff that's appeared in here, I think that Toba specifically appears in a college newspaper as well too. They were looking for some new strips, so that kind of thing is still happening, you know, where people are looking for strips for their little magazines and stuff. So yeah.
Careful. She's gonna eat
got a
you up.
tongue.
Look at that. Yeah.
It's a Gene Simmons level of tongue there going on.
Yeah. She's gonna. The amount of sugar just went in there. It's like, whoa!
Yeah.
I remember those days. Now I
She's a
probably would
lizard
have.
woman.
Yeah. Now about if I would have that much sugar in one time, I probably would have heart attack.
Yeah. Just collapse.
Yeah, sugar like crash completely. Anyway, before we go, I want to know what your thought about Mandalorian is.
I thought it got better as it went, and
yes.
I'm not gonna go to any spoiler, but the last, I guess, how many episodes? I think we watched 5 episodes together. So she creeped her head in. Was the first episode the one that you saw with the female Jedi? Was that the one that you first saw?
I think so.
Rosario Dawson's character, and I can't remember the character's name. So she poked her head in right at that episode, and instantly, and again, like Damien has said it before, and he popped into my head, when people complain about like representation, it's not important. It's like, man, then you don't have a daughter, because as soon as she saw that, the moment she saw it, she's up there and she's doing lightsaber moves and she's doing fighting stuff. Like, I want to go as her for Halloween next year, and she was completely into it, and ended up watching the rest of the episodes with me, and watched the rest of the, I think it was 4 or 5 episodes, and loved it, and then we watched the first Star Wars together, the New Hope, and that one didn't go over as well. Like, but
you started from 1985, the one you're talking about. Those
the very first one, the first one that I would have seen, so we watched that. I loved it. I thought it was great to see again. She didn't respond to it as much, but I mean, again, like, you look at those movies, it's all white dudes, so of course there's only going to be some people to it. There's nothing for people to latch onto, which again, like with the Mandalorian, you go into those last few episodes, the last one specifically, there's 4 women that are leading the way.
I was like, yeah, female.
Yes.
I was jumping from happiness. Yeah. It's like, come on, girls, go beat the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
The one thing that the female Jedi, you need to watch in the Disney's, they have the Star Wars
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Clone Wars, yes. So she's there, prominent, completely all the time in every single episode. So you have to watch it, because that's basically where she's come from. I think.
I watched the first episode of Clone Wars, and then apparently the other one called Rebels, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
So and Damien, absolutely, you should watch it. You should watch it with your daughter. Like I said, she loved it. It was just a really good time to watch it. And honestly, there was parts of the first season where I thought the story was kind of weak, where it just kind of like it moved along in a strange kind of way. But once it got to the second season, I was fully invested. And also watching the A New Hope, there was there's little touches now that, for example, when they're at the Death Star and they see the elevators, you look at the top of the elevators, it's the same symbols that they used in Mandalorian in that final episode. So they went to such detail for Mandalorian to get every single aspect right. Like the Sand People, some of my favorite characters, those costumes are identical to the original. Like, they look incredible. I was impressed.
Well, the thing is as well, it's very good to have. It's very good to have that Rosario Dawson doing that, because of I don't know, I love that character. I mean, when she appeared as a night nurse in Daredevil, I was like, oh my god, why? Oh, yeah, thank God they used her, because she's a good actress. I mean, at the end of the day, and even and the girl who voicing the character in the cartoon one, she's like, what do you think about Rosario Dawson as a chosen actress? And she's like, perfect. This is exactly what you want. She has that, like Jedis, they have that stigma of coolness. She has that, you know what I mean? Naturally kind of thing. The way she's acting. So
yeah.
There you go.
We haven't, Damien, we haven't tried Lumberjanes, but we'll give it a shot, because it's one that's been in the back of my head too, to try it out. So
because
we'll try it out.
Lumberjays is all like camping all the time, and you guys like camping, so
We love camping, don't we? Yeah, all right. The sugar's kicking in.
There you go. Somebody's getting sugar rush coming in.
Yeah. Okay, we should wrap it up. This one's gonna start going batty here. We're gonna go out for a jog in the snow. Dunk her in the snowbank.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Thanks very much for hanging out with us. Damien, good to see you. Gorbadal, Paulo, everybody who was here. Thanks very much.
Happy holidays to everybody.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas to all of you guys. So
yeah, we'll maybe see you next weekend, but we'll see how it goes, because I mean, obviously next weekend is going to be busy. Maybe we can do it during the week after Christmas.
Yeah, why not? I'll do it.
Okay, hold on, I can't hear. Okay, I'm gonna push the end broadcast button, everybody, because it's starting to deteriorate here.